Honestly, I wish there was like, some crazy team game mode or something like squads or something, and I would play with them one day. That would be awesome. It's really fun to play with.
I think I wish I could play more in like with Queasy. I think that Queasy is like one of the most insane IGLs in this game, especially for his region.
I think I would go with Sentin because Sentin knows a lot about Fortnite, and I think just playing with it will be really beneficial in a way because he will learn me like a lot of stuff that I don't know.
This is a hard question, honestly, because I play with a lot of pro players.
I really like playing with Kanata. I play with them a lot. It's really fun playing with them.
And so I'd say maybe like Epic Whale or like Payson.
I miss my boy Booga, bro. He left me recently, and I wish we could replay with each other, man. I miss him.
What's the best way to use cars?
Definitely for rotation. It's definitely a good rotation item. It can also be a good aggressive item if you're looking to push people.
Get the two-door car, throw some big tires on it, get it to max fuel. That's like the recipe for success in this meta. Other than that, any cars with big tires on it is going to do incredibly well. And now that trucks, obviously they've always been two doors, or two-seaters on the inside, so you can have a duo in there now instead of a trio with one person on the back. Learning how to abuse cars in the best way possible, boxing them up on a good refarm, making sure that you can still have your high material count, but have that incredible use of mobility inside of your base, ready to go for the zone.
You should be able to save your car to the third zone, so you have less time to run, so you use less mods.
After you have a bad game, how do you reset to come back in a positive mindset?
If you're not accustomed to it, you better get accustomed to it, but you can't win every game. It's very difficult, especially in the finals.
Honestly, after a bad game, you always got to remind yourself how many more games there are left, how much more you could do in just one game. Like, it's very important to just look at the format and actually realize like all you need is a win with a couple kills, and boom, you're at the top.
Go outside and just take a quick breath, and then I'm ready to play again.
No matter how bad you're doing, there's always room for a comeback. And I really always want to see myself doing good. I never want to, I don't let that stuff get to me until the games are over, and then I can tilt as much as I want.
My advice would be to not think of it now and just go to the next game.
You got a fall, then you just gotta pop off.
Last time in FNCS North America East. During qualifiers, both Scented and Cold, Donnie and Macwood won a game but failed to auto-qualify to the finals. Macwood's comfortable. He's advanced from the reboot rounds twice before. Day and Clicks did not meet expectations in qualifiers. In fact, this is the first time neither member of the duo has auto-qualified to finals. The old guard will try to replicate their previous success in FNCS duos, as Mega and Dubs got second the previous FNCS duos 2 years ago. Old and new will clash when FNCS starts right now.
Titans have risen, many have fallen. This weekend is their last chance at redemption to reach Fortnite's Mount Olympus FNCS Finals. There was one rule in the semis. You get the Victory Royale, you qualify. But which joining our 16 confirmed finalists, as you can imagine. Hello, baby. Welcome into FNCS NAE. I'm your host, Adam Savage. I am so excited for this one. It's going to be a mega weekend. Beside me is the Leviathan Body's Gun and the Colossus Sundown. This weekend, we're going to bring you the stories to life. As well as Legends Landing as well. We know you can watch all the action unfold right there at Legends Landing, found in the Buy Epic Discovery Row. It is an amazing place, tons of activity to do, but of course it's also your front row seat into FNCS. Make sure to check out Legends Landing. As we said, the Buy Epic Discovery Row. Do not miss it. Now we've of course got this weekend full of action coming your way, and we cannot wait to share in all the festivities. Guess what this is? A celebration of the best teams that we know and love so well, and new teams, rising stars as well. Let's take a look at the broadcast schedule and exactly how we got here and what's coming your way as well. The broadcast schedule looks exactly like this. Qualifier 1 and 2 were last weekend, where we saw our two sets of teams, 6 on both days, qualify through, 8 on both days, qualify through to the finals already. So 16 teams confirmed, February 18th and 20th. Now this weekend, semi-finals, February 25th to 27th. As we mentioned already, we have ourselves 5 games today, 5 tomorrow, 6 on Sunday. 5 Victory Royale winners will go through today, as well as 6 teams who get the most amount of points who don't get the VR as well. Walk us through the format here, SBG. How do our players get through to finals?
All right, so we had 16 move on through each qualifier. We're in the semifinals right now. We're going to be playing 5 matches today, 5 matches tomorrow, and 6 on Sunday. The winner of each of those matches is going to be advancing straight to the finals. Then at the end of each of the sessions, the top 6 duos are going to be advancing as well. So we're going to see 11 teams today, 11 teams tomorrow, and then an extra one because we have an extra match on Sunday. Then we move on to finals next weekend, where we introduce the match point format. But Sundown, tell us what the points are today and what kind of format we're looking at.
So the points, you'll see the Victory Royale over there. It's not worth 1,000 points, but it might as well be. It'll be that ticket directly through to the finals. But don't forget, if you don't score a Victory Royale, it's not the end of it. You can end up placing inside of that top 6 teams who don't end up with a win, and it will also end up being a ticket to the final. The format there is the same as we saw during the qualifying, with obviously the Victory Royale pulled out. First place in point at when 35 duos are remaining, the next one at 30, and then after you get to 25 duos left, each one that drops is +1 until you get into that +3, where it's +2, +2. Then normally it would be +4, but this time it's just a big old trip right there. And now we get a chance to see the players who are competing for their spots, Adam.
Sundown with a maths degree in there. That was that was perfect. That's what we wanted. I mean, that's what it's all about. Context as well for viewers who may be brand new to this, not seen this before. That kind of stuff is amazing to show us exactly which teams are going to be, how they can get there to finals. And you can see some of them on screen right now. SPG, who stands out for you? There's plenty of duos here who should deserve to be there.
Yeah, I think Glace and Chucky are the big outlier right now. They had the most consistent performance that didn't qualify through the qualifiers. They are looking like the top dog, but we obviously have a lot of big teams. We saw Slacks and Clarity G do well. Obviously, I was going for Cold and Scented throughout the qualifiers. They're another big team today. And Sundown, I mean, there's so many names here that are going to be so close. Not everyone can push through. But, you know, page 2, what are we looking at?
Page 2, a number of people here. Immediately, eyes are drawn over to TNA, Muzz, as well as C9 Avery. That duo we got a sneak peek of last Sunday was able to push through. Also have to give a shout out to OMG Me Too, somebody who played incredible at Streamer Bowl 3, but also had a pretty good individual performance last weekend. And we already saw over in EU, those can shine. And then can't forget about the veterans as well, Joji and Rokane, who've been able to put up pretty decent individual numbers, but haven't necessarily put it all together.
It's honestly, fellas, it's going to be so interesting to see exactly who chooses to go to their preferred POI, who switches things up for this particular format. Who knows what's going to happen? We're going to break it all down for you guys. But first things first, let's actually get a bit of a closer look at our players and find out a bit more about what their aspirations are, their goals are for 2022. Have a look at this.
I want to win FNCS. I know that I can. I got so close in the last 2 FNCSs, and I know that I still have it in me.
Improve my aim as much as I can, and I definitely want to try to win at least one more FNCS this year.
For FNCS, I really want a good FNCS Grand Final finish. I really want to finish in the top maybe 10 or 5.
I've been playing more than ever, grinding more than ever. I'm really trying to be #1 this year.
My main goals for 2022 is to place consistently in every FNCS, but mainly win FNCS.
Just get a bigger name and probably win at least one FNCS this year.
I get 2 in my head sometimes, especially in solos, and I think that's something that a lot of players struggle with. I just need to work on it again to make me unstoppable.
I think I want to really improve on my mentality.
I want to show people that I haven't peaked yet, you know?
Being more consistent as a duo, me and Threats and stuff, so I think that would be really good.
I just want to keep improving on everything, game building, game knowledge.
I'd say my strongest point is definitely endgame.
I have really good mechanics since a really long time, and if I just keep playing the game, I will forever be good.
I've had this burning fire in me to play duos and compete in tournaments since the last duo FNCS. This is my core game mode, and I'm gonna do insanely well.
One of my strongest points is in duos, and this year of FNCS is all duos, so it's pretty stacked up in my favor.
Anytime we're in late game, we're always getting a lot of kills and popping off on low ground, so everybody better watch out.
I think stressing is the really thing I improve on. Before, I used to always stress in tournament and think about what can happen.
One of my biggest mistakes right now is I sometimes get greedy when I see a kill.
And it doesn't really matter where you land. At the end of the day, you're gonna play grand finals, and as long as you have a good spot, you can cash out and make a lot of money and set a name for yourself.
Learn what your mistakes are. You can't go back and redo it, so you just gotta learn and try to not do it in the future.
Just getting through all these tournaments, trying to learn as much as I can from them is honestly pretty much what I'm doing all the time now. So that's pretty much it.
I'm just trying to make myself as mechanically sound as possible, so that way there's just nothing that can be put past me.
So far I've qualified for every Duo Cash Cup that I played, so I think that's a really, really good start.
I feel like this year is definitely my year.
Yeah, I'm coming into this FNCS feeling strong. I'm very positive that I'll do good throughout the whole year, especially this FNCS, and yeah, hopefully I win.
Great to hear from some of our players there who can really dissect where they're where they're positives lie and where they need to kind of work on certain areas and aspects to their gameplay as well. So love to get those insights into them as people. We'll definitely talk about a lot of them now, because of course we know there's going to be so much up for grabs here. Qualifying, auto-qualifying, or getting enough points to go through later on in the day as well. Let's take a look at some of our particular duos here as well. First and foremost, Kondo Canyon. We have threats and users here. We know them so well. Obviously, we saw in EU earlier on, SBG, that two teams managed to rotate out of that POI and qualify. Why are they special? Why are we excited to see them perform today?
So I think they've been at the top for a long time, and they're going to look to remain there. We've seen Threats, one of the best aimers in the region. Obviously, Users has won an FNCS, so he feels comfortable in this position, and their experience is going to lay the groundwork for the rest of their game, because a lot of people are probably nervous today, but knowing both of them, they've been here before, they should feel comfortable having that experience in their bag.
Well, and I think one of the things that they can rely on, too, is they're in this pool of first 50 duos. And while there's still plenty of spots up for grabs, and we will be backfilling those duos who qualified when we play tomorrow and on Saturday, or tomorrow and on Sunday, if you look at it, the teams who play today have a very solid chance of getting an opportunity to go through, whether it's winning a game or on consistency. You have so many chances to put it all together, and that leans a little bit towards veteran experience, which we saw over in EU. While there are a couple of new names up on that board in the semifinals, a lot of them were players who had been there before.
Yeah, that experience obviously always makes such a massive difference. And one team actually who we were kind of surprised it didn't qualify through in our qualifier 1 and 2 here, Cold and Centered as well. SBG, you even picked these guys a couple of times in predictions. It didn't happen, but here's hoping it happens potentially this weekend. What can they do? How can they change things up and get through to finals?
So if they have the cavern all to themselves, they're going to be really strong on their loot. And that was their problem in the first and second qualifier. First qualifier, they narrowly missed. Second qualifier, their early game didn't allow them to progress. I feel like they were kind of stalling out and not really getting into that strong position. So going covert instead of sleepy, that should be a really good play for them, Sundown.
And I mean, we saw in EU too, two teams who are able to run it out of covert, and when they were able to win off the drop, Thomas and Tayson, as well as Vino and Joe, they just clean ran through the lobby. And yes, they had to make the individual plays, but Sentinel and Cold are more than capable of that. So the question becomes the rest of the lobby. Do you just let them have it early and hope they win out so they're out of the pool immediately? Or do you go and challenge them every single time, knowing that ever since kind of that unfortunate Game 3 in the first qualifier, they've been on a little bit of a downward trend. They've been struggling a bit.
Yeah, they have. I mean, it's a really interesting point you make about EU as well. We saw, obviously, Thomas and Tayson going through there in that particular POI when it was contested. Once they've qualified through, then Vino's duo immediately afterwards qualifies as well when the POI is therefore Tayson and Thomas are nowhere to be seen anymore because they've already qualified. So that's going to happen throughout the course of the competition as well. Teams will qualify and suddenly things really open up for some of our duos. One duo we're all looking forward to seeing compete today as well is Clicks and Day. They're synonymous with Fortnite. We all know them so well. But SBG not gone through just yet. The Joneses looking like where they're going to be dropping. How can they make sure and solidify their place in the finals?
So watching them play is like a bowl in a china shop. They just run through the lobby and knock things out of the way. And it seems like sometimes when they try and play a more traditional style, it's less effective. Just letting them go out there and run through people, go crazy, that seems to be the most effective way that I've seen them play, because otherwise it makes no sense.
And don't forget, Adam, it's NRG Day and NRG Clicks, both, well, Day recently signing and then Clicks re-signing through, announcing that recently. So got a little bit of the duo synergy going through. I'm sure they're going to be happy with that. But we've yet to see them put it all together. And I think one of the biggest things on the flip side, yes, normally we want to see them kind of push through, try and go get those eliminations. But in a state where victory rounds are almost more important and they're not necessarily known for their consistency, I'd rather see them kind of put the pedal to the metal and really try and win one of these games early.
Yeah, me too. And plus, it's great for us watching at home as well. And for us here on the desk.
Content, baby.
Yeah, it's content, baby. That's exactly right. But I think you're right. I think they're a bit of wind in their sails. Obviously, the NRG announcement as well. Hopefully, that'll give you that mixed with the experience. We should see them go through. We think. We hope. Who knows what could happen? Let's take a look at some of the off-spawn fights in particular here as well. Let's look at Macwood and Nico. This kind of head-to-head here, which is looking very exciting indeed. SBG, why is Daily Bugle a great POI to look at? I mean, obviously, we know it's synonymous with the likes of the web shooters and such, but it's a big POI, and these guys going head to head.
Yeah, so if you ask either party, Nico's team or Macwood's team, they've won off spawn every single time. The other team hasn't. But, you know, it's a little closer than that. And it seems like recently Nico's team has had the edge on those off spawn battles, but they don't always fight off spawn. Sometimes they go ahead and try and take what loot they can get. And when that happens, honestly, neither team is really getting good enough loot. Bugle is a big POI, but it's not big enough to support two teams, in my opinion.
Bugle is such a catch-22 because you never want to give somebody uncontested, because alone it becomes such a power point. But the fights there off of spawn are just, at least me personally, and even watching some of the VODs, they are brutal. There's so much that goes into it, the different angles you can reposition, trying to be aware of when somebody can sneak up on you. Even just the drop pass off of the bus are different compared to everywhere else on the map, because you have to be just low enough to clear that mountain, but just high enough to hit some of the 50-50 spawns. It makes everything just a little bit more difficult. It's like, how many times do you want to risk trying to go there, but then the one time you get it for free, it's just so worth it.
Oh, couldn't agree more as well. And plus, you know, with the webs everywhere, you can get around the POI very quickly and very easily and efficiently as well. So that's going to be a good one. Obviously, another off-spawn probably have to take a look at as well. Aegis versus Smite. This is going to be really exciting as well. We know these players, again, so well here. Greasy Grove, that's going to be an interesting one to watch out for.
Yeah, this has been Sprite and Nounsy versus Agers and Rise. This happened all qualifier 2, and it was essentially just those 50-50s off spawn. Literally just land somewhere and then start fighting, and that was the entirety of it. Now, allegedly, Sprite is deciding, I'm going to go somewhere else, but you never know. He doesn't seem like one of those players that is going to walk away from those off spawn fights. So even if he's saying he may go elsewhere Sundown, I think Greasy's going to be conned.
And Sprite's somebody who has one of the most historic clutch plays. We talk about the clutch potential in duos being a little bit easier. Well, he had no problem doing it in trios as well. I just don't think when you do have so many limited matches, yes, it is a 5-game series rather than a 6. It's slightly shorter than what these guys are used to playing in the set lobbies. You don't want to even throw maybe 1 or 2 games away, knowing that Agers and Rise are pretty solid off a drop. I would put them in the above average, if not a little bit higher than that, in terms of their ability to fight in those situations. And I don't think rolling the dice is worth it when you have 1 less game.
Totally. It's all about the mind games, man. All about the mind games. I love it. We would love to see it as well, because it makes things more, obviously more exhilarating for us watching. Talking of the map and POIs and such, we've mentioned a few of them there. Let's take a closer look here at the map specifically, and some real places to highlight, and what's so exciting about it for our players as well. Check this out.
I think Bugle is probably the best spot on the map right now.
There is like a lot of chests, a lot of ammo, a lot of everything.
Tilted towers, there's just so much floor loot and ammo boxes and pepper boxes, so you just always come out really stacked. And then CB Sound just has a lot of pepper boxes and a lot of floor loot, so you always come out with a lot of launch pads.
I really enjoyed Tilted coming back. It was very fun to land there again.
I actually land Tilted. That's my drop spot. Duos.
Tilted is like one of my favorite spots in the game, like forever.
It's going to be very good and competitive. A lot of players are going to have it uncontested.
And it's all modernized and changed into this current, into the current way the game's played. And it's really cool.
That nostalgia, I'd say.
I cannot be more happy.
So I think people are making a mistake by not landing Sanctuary, because that Mythic AR there is definitely the best AR in the game.
If you can capitalize and get Sanctuary to yourself and maybe even get that Mythic AR in a Grand Finals, I just know how good it is.
Camp Cuddle is a really underrated spot.
I think Bugle's definitely the most slept on POI. I didn't even think of it in my top 3. Probably is honestly a top 3. It is a crazy POI.
Best method to rotate on the map is definitely using Spider-Man's.
I would definitely say Spider-Man's 100%.
It can get you across the map in probably a couple minutes. Nothing can do that right now.
The map awareness is definitely like really important, because like if you don't know where you are or where you're going or like where it could pull, like you're gonna just be in a pretty bad situation for like the next zone pull.
So you really got to be aware and understand the map.
A good map habit would be always to mark where the zone goes and what side you want to be on.
Oh, you need to always 100% be aware of where the zone is.
Marking it is a huge thing, and I think that that alone has saved me so many times, because I can just see where the zones is and I'm not guessing.
Because if a zone pulls far and you're in a really bad spot, it could end your game.
Yeah, I would say the best tip to find a drop spot for your playstyle is really find where your strengths are in fighting.
look for something that's not too heavily contested. It's kind of difficult in this current meta.
If you're really a team that needs to play for Surge and really passive, I think you go for a center map, so a center spot, so that you can loot quick, get some Surge, and then rotate and don't need to fight anybody.
And then if you want to like fight and you're really good at fighting, you want to crap ton of kills, then I'd probably just learn like a 3C, Tilted, Chonkers, Daily.
I think Google is definitely the best spot for an aggressive player, and Sanctuary. Both of those drop spots are very, very good.
Don't be scared to land somewhere shambles. If you can master a spot that's really, really good, then do it.
Again, like having the insight and the intel from the players there as well, even the basics, just remind you to kind of do these things in order, and hopefully you could become a much better Fortnite player. We'll see. I don't think I'll ever make it to CS Finals. That'll never happen. And maybe you guys could. SPG Sundown. I mean, there could be a duo right there in the making. Let's talk about predictions. I could just see shaking heads. Let's just talk about predictions as well, and who we think is going to go all the way. Now, I had to go for Nounsy and Sprite simply because I'm working to the data here, fellas. Okay. Now I know Nounsy, Chapter 2, Season 6, and Sprite, Chapter 2, Season 6, and Season 8 as well, managed to go through in the semi-final kind of reboot format, and that is why I'm working the numbers. That's why I think they could go all the way today. SPG, walk us through your choice.
All right, so we're going head-to-head. Well, if the fight at Greasy happens, Agers and Rise are my pick today. I think they're a very strong duo, super consistent throughout all the Cash Cups, and they're going to be keen to play that high ground position that has been so strong. We also know that Monster is going with Knifer and Byla over at the Llama split that we've seen do so well on multiple regions. But Sundown, who you got?
Yet again, like I said, a broken clock will eventually be right, keeping the momentum going 33 batch. Vamp style. We saw him in a little bit of that content piece, but I genuinely believe in this duo. I think they belong in finals. I think this season is going to be one where they're going to put a stamp on it. However, they have to get there first, and I think eventually predicting them will undo the caster's curse. But now looking over at the other side there, Vivid having Scented and Cold, I mean, no surprise behind that. They've played phenomenally. They were so close in that first qualifier, but they need to pick it up a little bit. Their recent results haven't been on par with how Scented wants to play, and you can sense a little bit of the frustration creeping in, which a victory royale here would totally wash all of that away.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, and you know, I applaud you for sticking with Pamstone and Thatch there, Sundown. You just eventually they'll make it. Eventually.
I mean, they have to. I know. I feel so bad because it's almost like a semi-caster curse. I predicted. Batch back down at Streamer Bowl 3. Pamstow ended up winning it in that regard. But then watching their individual performances, they've had it there. They've had results in the Cash Cups. They've made it to the end games, but there's just always one little thing that's missing. And I'm hoping that just look, you can see the vibes when they're talking there. They have the team chemistry. They just have to put it all together. And then once it hits, I think it's going to be very good. And I'm hoping today is the day, but we'll see.
They're absolutely capable, 100%. I think that's, I think points-wise as well, they've kind of qualified. They're one of the highest point-scoring teams as well, particularly in Qualifier 1. So they've definitely got what it takes. SPG as well, very quickly. Looking at the teams here as well, obviously we know that Victory Royales today are key. They get those 1,000 points and kind of guarantee you a place in finals. But will any teams be focusing on the points themselves, trying to get those eliminations and standings points rather than going for the VR? Or is it just a case of I'm just going to try and get that Victory Royale, get myself into the finals, and then be done with it?
That's a great question. I feel like most teams are going to be playing for the win, and then maybe in that 8th or 9th zone, you're starting to be in a position where, like, I don't have the win condition in my inventory in order to do this. So then you switch up, you play for placement, because not every game you're going to be absolutely stacked to try and go for that win play or that win condition. And that's honestly what I'm gonna go with. I want to see some teams play with some flops, some heal plays, maybe even those perfect pads onto height. Really haven't seen those yet.
That's true. I mean, boys, we've got so much to break down, so much to talk about in the future, but game 1 is imminent. The battle bus is almost ready. It's time to throw over to our Titan friends. It's time for MDF and Vivid to take the reins and takes into game 1. The hype is real. Let's do this, guys. Semi-final time. Let's do it.
We appreciate the quick toss there, Adam. Yes, the games are getting ready. It's Monster D-Face and Vivid here on the horn. Once again, we'll be calling all of the action. I mean, Vivid, the stage has been set. We got a couple predictions out there, but the truth is 11 players are going to move on. There's a really good chance, I would say the best of the best, that deserve it will make it to that next stage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what these semifinals are all about, right? Finding the players that are the best that haven't actually made it through to those first 2 qualifiers yet. And let me tell you something, after watching EU, I am absolutely so excited to watch these games because I feel like every single game, all 5 games from the EU region came down to the wire, right? We didn't really know who was going to win it all. I was like, I saw somebody on height in like the 7th zone. I was like, oh, they got this. And then like 2 seconds later, somebody else is on height. So I'm really, really excited for the games today.
And that's the difference, right? We get to see it all unfold here, guys. Sounds like the battle bus is just about ready, so let's go ahead and toss it on over to game number 1.
All right, and we are off. Game number 1. It all comes down to the semifinals. Will you secure yourselves a spot in the grand finals of this first duo FNCS of the year? And as we can see, we are going back to the Nico Polarized versus Donnie and Macwood at the Daily Bugle. Now, last weekend we saw this happen over both of the qualifiers. And let me tell you something. I feel like Polarized and Nico basically swept the floor with Macwood and Donnie.
They absolutely did. The one thing that was different, though, but the last time was that Macwood and Donnie were aiming at that main building, so we'll see the differing of the drop stop. But hopping on over here, 20 and Reciprocal already kicking things off with a nice little knock right there. These knocks still matter, guys. I know we want to root for folks to pull that victory royale, but being consistent, getting these big points, this is huge, and it's going to play into consistency. The story of consistency is so important this weekend here today. So look at that, quick 6 points. That's going to be a swing in for them. And now on over to Zen, Bacon, and Nerfface. We've seen fights here before, but it looks like this is one of those earlier engagements that all teams might just be in shambles. Just look at the HP pool. Doesn't look too good for anyone here.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game here in these early game fights. You know, we're coming into this, right, and you don't really know who you're going to be matched up with yet. So this game 1 could be kind of a testing ground for a lot of these players. They could be expecting it to be uncontested, and, you know, being contested could be a little bit of a surprise, so making some adjustments. But, you know, it's nothing that they can't handle. They are going to get used to it very, very fast because they have to.
You absolutely do. Right now, it's a bit of a standoff here. Shotgun shots going down below. Nerface is going to have to look for a new angle. That's a floor take from the opponents down low, so they're definitely on guard. No one's got the advantage here, although they had a little bit of high ground, so they're going to go and decide to back on off. Not worth throwing this first game out of the window. Little did they know there is a team nearby as well. Those shots there making it a little too close for comfort. And think about it, right? 5 games, a lot shorter, a lot less opportunity than the usual 6-game weekend. So, you know, if there's an opportunity that presents itself or there's time to kind of extend your tournament play, you probably want to take that, right? Be a little bit more passive and try to make the best of your Fortnite game.
Yeah, and as we see here, Avery and Muzz looking like they're uncontested at Shifty Safs, but if we pay attention to the map, there are a couple players lurking around the outer rim of this POI. We know that Avery and Muzz are 2 really well-rounded players. Muzz coming over from the OCE region, performing very, very well on what a lot would consider a harder region in the NA East caps here. But Muzz and Avery just going to be farming up. You know, they've done this route probably 1,000 times since the season started, and if we look at the outer rim of this POI again, it doesn't look like they are too interested in coming in, invading Muzz and Avery's space here. But bang, you know, a player on the outer rim there, not a player to underestimate. And we heard a lot about these guys on the pre-show there, Clicks and Day. A bull in a china shop, I believe is what SPG called these two.
Yeah, definitely. This is what's the word I'm looking for? Wrecking ball type duo. You get Day into end game. He's going to go ahead. He's going to be breaking down builds quite figuratively and literally in games with the SMG. You know how he does. He is just a force to be reckoned with. This is a fight going down here. So, okay, let's break this down a little bit right now. We've seen Scented and Cold try this before. I would say with some success, right? Rotating out of Sleepy Sounds, getting here, and catching the drop on Covert Cavern teams. And most importantly, it's for this very, very precious metal, right? One of the problems with their drop is that they don't get all the resources to get comfortable. And even now, just 200 wood, like how do you end up here with only 200 wood and barely any brick to work with, right? This surrounding area is loaded with brick and other materials. So this is, I feel like, a team that is out of chances to figure it out, right? Like now is time, like how much research, how much work have they put in, and have they finally figured out the formula to get the mats they need for endgame?
Yeah, we could state the obvious here. You know, they did not have a successful qualifier 1 and 2, so hopefully turn it around pretty much today, right? You know, they still have another 2 days of the semifinals after today, but I feel like the prowess, the level of play that they usually play at, they pretty much need to qualify through today just to kind of keep their headspace right. But turning down here to Chonkers Speedway, Al and Teed here going to be on the high ground. Coop and posed below, and then Aiden off in the side there. The zone is coming in. Looks like it's going to be pulling to the northern region. Chonkers Speedway is all the way south, so the teams do got to get a move on, but there are plenty of vehicles in the surrounding area, so they can make those rotations pretty easy. And honestly, for being contested here, Teed, he's got a pretty good loadout. He's got everything you can ask for, especially and the Stinger combination, opting to actually not grab a shotgun, and that's been a lot of players have actually been choosing to do in this meta.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that's the name of the game right now. Having those win conditions is going to be your peak option as far as building your loadouts right now. Spider-Man mythics, having peppers, right? Anything that can give you and grant you utility to work against those unfavorable zones that can definitely happen at any given time. On over to Zen, Tyler here alongside Rivnatra. It looks like they're going up against Macwood and Donnie here, who's all right. So they've made it up their draw spot, which is really great, but this is a fight just outside the Bugle, so we know there could be lurking threat in Nico and Polarized.
Yeah, that is true. You know, Macwood has had now a couple of opportunities to go back and review some of the things that have been going wrong for him. And, you know, hopefully he's gone ahead and taken that opportunity and taken full advantage of it, because he really needs to. He really just has not done well. And mainly it was those all-spawn fights. I feel like when they got out of the spawn, they were doing decently well, you know, good enough to where they could get into a top 6 throughout these 5 games for sure. But that all spawn has got to be solved, and this game number 1 is looking good for them because they did make it all spawn.
Yeah, definitely. Clarity and Slacks as well. Trying to get their loadout together here. Just going to scan the area, get this loot unlocked for them right now. And this is, again, all, of course, in preparation for setting themselves up for that mid-game. Now, look at the player count. This is by far a much more stacked game than we have seen in any of the previous qualifiers. I mean, it slowly has developed and slowed down as the weeks have gone on, but this is a staggering amount of players alive right now. I was going to say there isn't anyone fighting on a map. As I start thinking that thought, Scented brings on over the full story here. He's like, hold up, Monster. We're actually battling it out right now. We're not going to wait for that surge. We're going to take advantage here, and they want to win this battle here. This time, they do have the material. They do have the loadout. This should be, all in all, a winning situation and battle for them.
New weekend here, new name for Scented, and a whole new POI to land at too. We know that he was landing up at Sleepy Sound, no success there, but now Covert Canyon, he's going to be going in for a quick shot. It's not going to work out. The players are going to be well too aware of a possibility of a sneak attack there. Now Cold facing essentially a 1v4 situation. Now we know that Cold is a very good fighter, but he is definitely back up against the wall right now.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're wondering what just went down there, Scented walked into some enemy builds, and there's not much you can do there. All he had left was to put those ramps behind him for defense. Those are just not going to work, not in this current meta right now. You need more than one layer to protect you from that rapid fire, response that's going to come from your opponent. So Cold now gets chipped up. It looks like he got caught off guard there for a second. Maybe a bad peek trying to play into the reboot card. He might have picked it up, which is why we're seeing him back up here. But again, he had, what, 6 chug splashes, couple heals. I mean, the clock's ticking at this point.
Yeah, and I think the difference here is Malabuki here and Wanted, right? Like, they are chilling together. They have not left each other's sides, but after we look at the replay there of, Scented, he was all alone, right? Cold was nowhere to be found. I think that's the difference. When you get into the situation where you're playing box to box, wall to wall, you got to be with your teammate, because as soon as you run into the other team, you're just instantly in a 1v2 situation. So big mistake that I'm surprised to see out of Scented here, but Cold looks like he's making a play for that reboot card, maybe trying to extend their game as a duo here. Again, this zone is a contributing factor, though, and as it goes further and further, it'll just be harder for these players to rotate.
Yeah, this is an unforgiving situation to be in now. The response here is surely get the teammate up and move on, but look at this, tons of splashes in a nearby area. Luckily, they're going to have a good understanding of the general terrain here, since they did loot it. Finally, they open up the vault here. We all know what's inside the vault. launch pads, big loot, more heals. This is just everything that you need to stay in the round. Let's take a look back, though, on how things unfolded from Moo's perspective. Man, the young Moo coming in hot, finding one of the big dogs here over at the draw spot. Not bad for him. Shout out to him picking up his first elim of the tournament today.
Yeah, just taking full advantage of the fact that Scented pretty much couldn't build anywhere. Piece control was all of theirs, and a couple of places there where you actually can't place builds just because of the way that it is structured. But switching over to users and threats, watching some of the recorded answers that he gave to a lot of those questions, he is feeling pretty confident, especially with threats. You know, threats really good, and as you can read in the top right there, threats and users are one of 5 NA East teams that won a game during qualifiers playing in semis. So, you know, a lot of the people that actually won games in those qualifiers already went to our grand final. So I think it's looking for the up and up, right? Like, these guys have already won a game in these qualifiers, so looking good for them.
Yeah, it's a confidence booster. It's one of those things that sets you up on the stage here, and there's only a few that can say they've done it. So at the very least, we know who to look out for. There are a few teams in our scene that, you know, they have that win potential, right? There are teams that quite literally walk out with victory rounds pretty consistently, and that is going to be what's going to separate you from this stage and on to the next one, right? The final stage. Guys, if you just get that win, you are going all the way through. Cold does manage to get sent up, though, so nothing to worry about there. Remember, there was plenty of loot to pick up, too. I think the biggest setback here is really going to come down to the fact that, one, they don't get points for elims, but more importantly, they have to bounce back material-wise, right? Yes, you can get the pickup, but now, where do you find your brick? Where do you find your metal? Most importantly, you are at a major disadvantage here.
Bigger storyline for me, though, is 173 damage below, right? Scented goes down and doesn't really do any damage in that 1v2 situation, so pretty much quote-unquote wasted a bunch of time there going for a quick sneak elimination, and now they have a lot of ground to make up. I think that in a situation like this, we're going to have to see Scented and Cold pretty much just instantly get in on another team, try to find some quick elimination, just end it very, very fast, because as you can see here, there's nobody even on the map, right? Because the zone is closing in almost towards zone 3 already here, and they got a lot of ground to make up.
It's crazy to think that they would be in a better position if Scented just stood there, stood his ground, and took like the silliest 2v1 and got a shot off. Like, it's crazy to think that would have been so much more beneficial than trying to just run for his life and stay alive at that moment. Hopping over to Sneaky, it looks like he as well is just below the Storm Surge. Now, this is where pro players have to make decisions, right? Who do you take the fight on? Who do you jump in on? Or do you play for those longer range tags? Cold and Sendog jumping inside the vehicle here. Decision. They're going to basically face check the team on the other side. Senta goes down for a second time now, and it's up to Cold again here to clutch up. Cold not only is below the surge in full here, 18 seconds till that starts to ring, but he has officially lost his teammate. Once again, a major setback here as he is forced to go onto defense to get a heal. Here comes a sandwich, explosions everywhere. He's not going to survive. Out of the game goes Scented and Cold. Once again, having a rough start and an even tougher beginning here for this FNCS semis.
Yeah, not looking good so far for my prediction, but Sneaky and Statics over here finding an elimination, so they're going to be chilling on the Storm Surge, but ooh, Statics actually goes down there. I thought he was going to be safe, and I thought Sneaky was going to have enough time to find that res. But Tabney above Sneaky here actually finds the elimination on him, so a little bit of an awkward 1v1 situation here. Both duos left alone, and Sneaky goes down at the end of that right there.
I think Tabney owned the floors above him, like, because we didn't see that shot coming at all. That was ripped if I've ever seen one. Super unfortunate. Not only that, he could have picked up his teammate there too, so it just be like that sometimes. Princess Wolf, another team that's just in a tough situation, very peculiar situation actually, as he loses his teammate, and sandwich now between Clicks and Day, who are also hustling on into these boxes here. Here comes the open edit. Nope, he's going to get pumped right there. Big heavy shotgun on the other side of the wall. It's Coop and Pose versus Clicks and Day. Very much veteran duos going head-to-head right now. Pay attention to the feed as Day finds Pose there. On the other side, though, Nasen and Flo also just get deleted. There is action unfolding. It's what we expect, though, when you have this many people alive, Vivid, in a Storm Surge zone.
Yes, sir. Storm Surge comes in, and so do Clicks and Day into the China shop here, finding a quick 2 eliminations, and they're going to be chilling, right? 400 damage above. That's going to set them well ahead of the game, even for the next Storm Surge. So looking good for these boys, especially loadout-wise, too. We see a gold MK7 and then the purple Striker pump shotgun for Clicks there. So they're going to be feeling comfortable. And AV and Enquas here actually have found an elimination, but they still are below that Storm Surge. And I believe there's 72 players alive in the lobby, so this looks like this is the only duo in the lobby taking Storm Surge damage, and sure enough, AV goes down to it, so Enqua's left here, left to do it, but not looking too good. If we take a look at the map, no players really around him, and actually a fight just north of him going down in the storm, developing just outside at Daily Bugle there, but that looks like that is quickly ending as the players subside. They really say Storm Surge is no longer going on. We're just going to go ahead and make our rotation now.
I was gonna say, the worst part about this is we watched NQ's dump his last bullet on that player in the air a little bit more, and he had launch padding players there to go in and get the tag. So, you know, it is what it is. At this point, he's got 29 HP and a true sliver of a dream left to stay in this game and figure it out. Clixton Day has the pressure of the storm and the players coming in here. Look at this congestion here just outside the sanctuary. This is an awkward, and I mean awkward zone, guys. I like to call this the nightmare type of zone. This is what dreams or nightmares are fueled on here. Not a dream at all, but this is the fuel for those bad dreams, guys. All that water means that you have limited land space to work with. Just look at how empty the water locations are, forcing all the players into these little masses and pockets. And that's why, you know, when Clix comes in late here, you know, Onwood builds, it's just red flag after red flag.
Yeah, near impossible situation here for this duo. Even considering their next steps, if they were to live through this, that north rotation would be really hard. But Clix, we know that he's got the mechanical prowess. He is actually surviving the best he can. He will live until he is out of math. I can almost guarantee you that. But he's only got 16 builds left. So his time here in the lobby might be short-lived. And yeah, he tries to make an edit out to remove his box. But Shadow there, waiting just for that move. And look at this, Macwood and Donnie, like I said, they make it off spawn. They don't even have any elims, but they do find the Storm Surge to survive that first thresholds. So looking good for those boys.
Yeah, it's doing a lot better than we can say most other players are in the lobby, as that was just one of the craziest elim chains we've seen in quite some time. Big battle after battle. I mean, again, this is what happens, right? When you have these many players alive, you know, it's going to force engagement. And, you know, even if you're comfortable, unfortunately, what's going to happen is teams are going to see these battles going down. They're going to want to get inside. They want to get involved into these fights. This replay here is just, again, a little recap of some of the other perspectives that went down to the Storm Surge, or what forced these Storm Surge fights, if you will. It's a full package on just that right there.
And here we go, Glace and Chucky. This is actually the fight that was going on right outside of Bugle. And it looks like Chucky just ended up getting surprised with some MK7 shots right into his back. Unfortunate for him, but again, you know, this congestion is real, right? If we look at the map, there's only a little bit of land mass. A lot of it is water. And these players know that if you base up in the water, you're pretty much just asking yourself to get a lobby spray in at you. So a lot of them like to just pile up on each other, try to not single themselves out, leave themselves in a good position, is kind of just pray for this half zone here, right? Because if you don't get it, not only do you have to run at a congested area, then you also have to run alongside the congested area that is also trying to rotate. So not an ideal situation if you don't pull this half zone here. We'll see what happens here in 15 seconds.
My favorite team in this position, though, is definitely Muzz and Avery right now, who are, although below the surge, they have, I would say, that the best spot. They're kind of like in the least congested locations, because it's all filled and littered with players, but they're kind of vibing out right here. The fact that they can take these shots and kind of determine the pace of this battle without other players looking to focus them is just, again, a master course in positioning here. On the other side, though, Boxer in a box fight as well. So there's all kinds of fights going on right now. We have a player that is just above the surge, and you have like Muzz and Avery who are way below here. They're gonna have to continue to get active. So going for the heals right now is the best play that they can do to go ahead and just reset themselves here, buy themselves some time. But it's gonna come down to clashing against another duo here. Now 6 below for Muzz and Avery. What's the play? Can they go ahead and force this one out? They're trying to get their rotate going here.
Oh, he was trying to build out there, bait some shots from somebody, maybe even the whole lobby, so that he can find an angle, but he actually finds a quick edit. Unsuspecting duo takes a lot of damage. That's going to put them above that Storm Surge threshold, but Storm Surge still did a lot of damage to them. Let's see how they can recover as they try to make this rotate that I talked about being so difficult over to the half zone.
The one problem there, this is the Elam that we saw go down, the one that was sniped from the team up above. Unfortunately, no heals there, so they do get to get first dibs on the builds, but without any HP, without any heals to work off of, that's going to be pretty tough here. 26 duos now remaining in the lobby, guys. The sweet spot is breaking into top 25. You can see how much of a stretch it is in the game to make it this far. You have to get all the way essentially to just about that first full moving zone before the big placements start to come out here. And again, we are looking for who is in a position to take home this victory royale. Any of these solo players you're watching right now, their odds at winning this first game is very, very slim. These teams that you're seeing with big builds, ammunition, HP, those are the teams we are really excited for right now. Those might be the ones that punch through and find their lucky stars aligning here today to get that first qualification spot to the finals.
Yeah, and looks like our first moving zone is going to go up to the north. It's going to be fully covered inland, so water won't be a factor, at least for this one. Some of the teams are actually south of the river, so they'll have to figure that little bit of a rotation out, but shouldn't be too big of a problem. And I think our next big wave of aggression is going to come in when we find that storm surge that ticks during the moving zones. A lot of these players have plenty of mats to kind of deal with this first moving zone so far, and Macwood is actually in a really good position because, as you can see, he's on the north side of this zone, and since the moving zone also pulled north, all these southern teams have to pretty much just run right at him, so they're taking the opportunity here to find some more storm surge, but already still, they have 400 damage above, so they are chilling, and they both probably have the web shooters here, so they can kind of just wait behind and let all the teams in front of them build, so that way they actually have something to web shooter to. And looks like that's what they're going to do as they pull those web shooters out. And funny enough, Polarize and Nico, the team that's contesting them over at the Daily Bugle, is on the high ground.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's like the kryptonite of them is right in their face here. This is the team that has been giving them the most problem, the most trouble here. Nico and Polarize hold up. Little trouble in paradise. This Rise and Agers go for their high ground retake right there. If you blink, you missed it. They just sniped up that height with the chili chug splash there, and that's the benefit of having that speed boost there, that extra little bit of haste. It will give you the mobility you need to go ahead and make that surprise play. So now, Rise and Agers in the prime position for the victory royale here, guys. Remember, we are looking for who is going to take home that first win, punch their way out of this week's semis, and straight into the finals now, Vivid.
Yes, sir, and OMG me here getting a shout from the man himself, Sundown, proving that he was actually deserving of it. Going to be in a really good position here, 600 above, no worries on the storm surge here, and he was actually in front of the pack there, but it looks like they're running a little low on build, so they might be looking at the back for a refresh now, and TJ and Agers are actually finding themselves way up here on the high ground as it keeps pulling up. Mac, we're going for the box, though. Full piece. If he gets the cone over the ramp, he's going to get free Elim here, but he's a little bit of a miscommunication, and the player actually gets out. So Macwood and Donnie there probably got to clean up a little bit of their communication, but nonetheless still in a good position on the low ground. And Rise and Agers just up here, chilling, laid back, waiting for the victory royale to slide in.
And I was going to say, not only that, they could have asked for a better zone, right? This is like going up the steep portion of this like cliff, the volcano here, this segment. That's going to force players to lose builds, clash into one another, make it easier. OMG, though, still in the game, still fighting here in the final moments. That's going to bring them up to 5 eliminations. Now, the win, not looking likely for them, but these Elims, my gosh, they are racking up big points right now and placement along with it. We have a little bit of everything going down right now. Donnie down, or sorry, Macwood down the field. Donnie's actually by himself. On height though, Peterbot swings on up, and it looks like he is in a battle up against Agers and company up above there for Rise, who's giving him a run for his money. Now, in the meantime, OMG still battling this one out. Rise and Agers actually have to give this one up. The high ground, the wing condition, Vivid, they gave it away to Quanti and Peterbot now.
Peterbot and Twanti, let's go. We talked about, Quanti actually goes down. We've seen so many changes in the high ground over in EU, and that was surprising because we hardly saw any in NA East during those qualifiers 1 and 2, but coming into the semifinals, these teams won it more than ever.
Yeah, definitely now. Peterbot swinging around here. He's got to be very, very careful. Donnie somehow manages to swing his way around. Peter's into the box. He gets a couple tags. Another player goes flying up. Peter has to look up here. Be very, very cautious. Look at how many players are swinging all around. It's Donnie once again. Round 2 here. Peterbot down to 13 HP. Armored wall comes out. Great protection. Now comes the quick reset here. Get some health going. But these are wood builds. He is not safe. Down comes the crashing builds. And it doesn't matter, though. He's going to go and catch himself. The breaks, though, from the zip line, and down he goes. Agers with a ridiculous play right there to keep him in the game here. 3 eliminations. He may have given up the height, but he has fought his way tooth and nail all the way back, clawing into this game. This is like a bird with clipped wings here, but he is still trying to fly in these final moments. No HP down low here. Agers has the win in front of him. It's a 1v1 situation now. Has the builds, couple of mats here. Vivid, it's all or nothing here. Here comes the full reset. Agers versus Shadow.
Yeah, pretty much even here, right? But I think the detrimental thing here for Agers is that he's only got 7 builds left. We know that Shadow just actually found an elimination, so he's going to be getting those mats from that elimination. So I think he's got the edge here. And as you can see, he is taking full advantage of it, building full boxes. But Agers taking full advantage of the fact that he's got double Stinger SMGs, trying to apply pressure and break down those mats that Shadow has. Agers is actually going to opt to break right through this building right here.
Yeah, definitely. These are very, very important builds, guys. He's going to look to get as much material as possible. It's going to be the difference maker here. Behind the wall, though, the piece control comes through. He steps into the zone. It's all or nothing, the full commit. Double SMG, doesn't have to reload, and the shots are good. Shadow manages to win in the last and final moment and goes straight to finals.
There you have it. And I was talking about how the mats were going to come into play there. Shadow played that perfectly. Used every single last bit of his mats to make sure that he had as much space as he needed. And finally, Agers is actually going to run out of mats. Eventually, Shadow just makes a play with the Stinger SMG to break Agers out. It looked like Agers was a little confused, got a little fumbled, came down to an aim duel, and Shadow was just all over it.
Not only that, Shadow, the young blood on the scene. OMG, me too. And Shadow will be your first ones to punch their ticket to the finals here. No more games are needed for them. The semis is there, and now the final stage is in front of them for them to conquer. What a game we just watched unfold, Vivid. We have 4 more of these.
Yo, imagine chilling, right? You're watching your duo in endgame situation, and he clutches up your position in the grand finals. Well played, Shadow. That was awesome to watch.
We love seeing it here. We're going to toss it to the desk still. Guys, hook us up, man. What are your first thoughts of the first game here at the semis?
Well, first thoughts are we couldn't have had a better start to proceedings. I mean, there we were following the Peterbot Agers, like back and forth on the high ground, thinking that was in a way the way things would be determined in this endgame. But suddenly, Me Too and Shadow with 10 eliminations as well, and the entire time between us behind the scenes as well, Sundown is championing Me Too like nobody's business. So we'll get onto that. But SBG. What a great first game. It had everything we wanted. And Storm Surge as well was just affecting everyone in right out the gate.
My goodness, yeah, off the start, that end game went crazy, but early on, this was one of the most stacked games we've seen in a very long time. Everyone running into Storm Surge, having to take fights that they don't want to take, and this is because everyone's finding their own place within the map. They don't want to be contested off spawn, but things may change. We're going to start dropping the players. We got 2 less going into that next game, and these players, Sundown, they got to figure it out earlier because this simply ain't it.
Well, the last time we saw this, and this is something that's very typical for both NA East and NA West when you have that Victory Royale move on win condition there, is everybody tunnels so much on that they want to keep their feet up. They don't worry about consistency. They don't worry about sticking to the regular Storm Surge strats or fighting teams. And then all of a sudden you end up in this situation where there's an extra 10, 15, and in that case, like even closing in on 20 people on the map who normally wouldn't be there. And all of a sudden things just turn weird.
Yeah, do. I mean, that's the thing as well, is like, I guess all the players as well getting used to this format. Obviously, it's game 1. And, you know, with so many, it's a stacked lobby as well. There's a lot of big teams, big players out there as well. Storm Surge, they'll gradually get used to it, but it has played a big part thus far. But we must talk about the end game as well, which was absolutely mad. It was crazy. I think Quanti going down with Peterbot there was a big difference maker as well. But taking it from Ages, we thought that was it. That this could be the play. That Ages is going to go all the way. It's a 1v1 here, but limited on mats and couldn't make it happen right at the end there, SPG.
Dude, I thought these guys had it. They were on high ground, and then one contest comes, the next contest comes, and everyone wants the high ground place. I mean, Rise and Agers did their best here, but ultimately it was Shadow and OMG Me Too just like popping off on the low ground. I mean, we saw some awesome plays here for height, but at the end of the day, it came down to that last 1v1, and I think Vivid pointed it out perfectly. There was 5 solos up at the last moment, and they all figured it out.
Yeah, it didn't look like we were actually playing the duo FNCS there for a second. It was down to those solo clutches, but sometimes it's all about the work your teammates able to put in, and Agers put in a ton of work here. The zipline play was just gross, being able to use it not only to knock down his opponent, but then out-strafe him side to side. Talk about Enas, he put it down and just made everybody miss. But then in this circumstance, you talk about doing all the right things. Shadow not only had the box control, he pathed more efficiently, knowing he would have cover and resources without having to use his own going through the buildings. And then when he got into that end game, knowing he had Chug Splash, knowing he had Med Miss, he started taking the trades, forcing Rise out, and honestly, it was just a brilliant performance from both him and OMG Me Too. Like, congratulations to those guys. Definitely want to hear the comms and the call out for that, because 10 elims and clutching out in game number 1 and dodging this. Normally they talk about a big fish in a small pool. Well, this is a small pool with a ton of big fishes. Throw some sharks in there too, and they're popping right out of it.
Yeah, there is no doubt tonight that eardrums be ringing after that. I can imagine the screaming, the elation as well, because going through in a kind of a victory royale kind of, this kind of format where you get the win, you go through, just the kind of pressure kind of comes off you for a little bit. You can kind of breathe for a second here. I mean, looking at the winners here, you can see them on the screen right now. Shadow, Me Too, our first winners. Game 1, they're going through all the way through to finals next weekend, joining the other 16, which we have 7 teams now, 17 teams confirmed for next weekend's finals. But still plenty to play for here. Obviously, we can see the leaderboard here as well, and Aegis and Rise not winning, but still getting a lot of points on the board, SBG.
And we see Donnie and Macwood there in first place with 7 elims. They had a really solid game. You mentioned Agers and Rise. Hamstu and Fatch right there as well. Didn't have the most placement points, but stayed alive long enough and got a bunch of elims.
Yeah, Pamstow was racking them in on that mid ground as well for a little bit there, but just keeping an eye on kind of the top 6, 34 average points so far, but still 4 more matches to go.
Still 4 more to go. It's just getting started, boys. I'm literally buzzing right here, right now. I know who else is buzzing as well. Obviously, our casting duo who brought so much hype in the first game. Game 2 is going to be an absolute whopper as well. Let's head over to Monster and Vivid. Take it away, boys.
Man, listen, we just watched an exceptional first round right there, and heartbreaking moment for Agers, a veteran who would normally not drop a game in those kind of circumstances. He had all the advantage, but I'm thinking the adrenaline must have been through the roof, right? You go through those zipline plays, like it's all unfolding, and then all of a sudden you have to clutch up in a final solo situation. I mean, these kind of things happen.
Yeah, making those crazy plays, right? It feels like you kind of did everything that you possibly could, and it comes down to the wire, and you just misplay a little bit potentially at the end, and it costs it, right? Like, that zipline play is crazy. You guys have no idea how hard it is to hit a shot while you're on a zip line moving, and then also all the builds around you are breaking, blocking your vision, everything like that. So he played very, very well. Just got a repeat performance, and he's fine.
Yeah, we're going to see, though. Game number 2 is here. Let's see if game 2 can live up to game 1, because that was crazy.
And here we go. You guys know where we're going, right? To the Daily Bugle. Because that is just where all the action happens in the early game. And seeing as Macwood and Donnie are at the top of the leaderboard, we talked about how they do so well when they get off spawn. And we were talking about, they did get off spawn. And it'll be interesting to see, because I feel like Nico and Polarized, they've done such a great job of actually countering whatever Macwood and Donnie have had, right? So it doesn't matter if they kind of switch up the strategy. Nico and Polarized are usually ready to just straight up counter it, but Nico and Polarized are actually happy with taking the big building here. So if I was Macwood and Donnie, I would kind of just be happy with the smaller building over here and repeat last game and just kind of run away.
Yeah, definitely. Do your best to survive. I mean, we saw it go full circle in the last round, right? They survived all the way through to the end. Here's a battle that did not go very far in game number 1. This one unfolded pretty quickly and got shut down in the feed there. You saw Agers catch an elimination onto Nounsy, so a little bit of a clash there that we thought they were avoiding each other and playing a different drop stop, but there is potential. It seems like that, what's that? The Greasy battle, actually, yes, is reoccurring, and that was at Blacktops over at Greasy Grove, so we'll see what's kind of happening there. Get a little temperature check on that one as Shiesty and Rhythm. They're just looking to see if they can have a repeat performance of game 1, open up with that quick elimination here, shut this down.
Yeah, not the best situation. Just an auto shotgun here on Rhythm, and then Shiesty's just got a pistol. But 20 here, he's got a striker shotgun and a harpoon. That harpoon probably going to come into play. But these guys, man, they're down here in the tunnels, right? They got not a lot of area to move around. They're just trying to grab all the mats they can, and Reciprocal has actually managed to gather a total of 10 builds here, but they've really got to try and work their ways out. They've definitely got the firepower to win out in this 2v2 situation, but not the positioning, as Rhythm actually dives in with the auto shotgun. Not going to be working out, and Shiesty left with a pistol to do it all.
It's like having a vehicle with no fuel, right? You're just, you ain't getting far by a guy. You know, even if you're pushing this thing down the road, I mean, there's only so much you're gonna do before you tap out here. Rhythm already out of the lobby. Shiesty with just a common pistol in hand. I mean, it's not looking too hot. And you can tell there's no points earned. Yes, that's because they were taken out immediately in the last game. Remember, consistency is going to be your second best friend here if you can't get a victory royale. 37 points here on 20 on Reciprocal, and a single Elim already set them up pretty decently. Mind you, there's only 5 games, right? So you really want to be careful with throwing away these early battles. Already couple tags here for Recip. He's going to go ahead and go for the pickup here. He's going to basically bait and invite in the opponents into this domain.
Yeah, Reciprocal, he's got plenty of builds. He's got to just build off these angles so that way he can just revive his teammate, but he's actually going to be allowing in a couple of shots that finish off his teammate 20 here, and Shiesty's going to be backing up, repositioning. Here's that he's coming in. Shiesty in a bad position now, pulls out the pickaxe, must have been out of ammo. Goes for the disrespect, but he's going to be getting sent right back to the lobby for his trials.
Makes you wonder, was it worth it? And on over to Users and Threats. You've seen a lot of content of them over the weekend here. Users, of course, talk about some of his favorite drops on the map. This time, no playing none of the likes. He's over at Condo Canyon here on the hunt, looking for the control here. Oh no, time's ticking. That was his wall, and now his elimination as well. Nice little edit course there, but Threats goes and snipes up the Elim. Either way, though, 6-point swing for them. Great way for them to kick off game number 2.
2 teams look like they're going to rotate into Condo Canyon there, though. And if we're looking at the player count here, 85 players alive. We had 94 players alive going into the first Storm Surge last game. So a lot of teams switching up here. And that's what I was talking about last game, right? A lot of these teams, they're not sure what to expect, you know, because, yeah, it's a set lobby, but a lot of players that you aren't necessarily used to seeing. Sneaky here. Going to be making sure that he doesn't re-see the duo, Dusky Bot, not letting the reboot ram just get used for free. He's going to be applying the pressure here. He's got 7 minis to work with, but only 11 builds. And this can be one of those awkward situations in the early game where you kind of just stare at each other through a bunch of builds, but Dusky is not interested in that. Going to be going for the build battle here and taking a striker. Pump shotgun shot right to the face for. He's going to be falling out here. Gets a free tag there as that player falls out. He's going to be looking for a repeat play. Knock him out again. Sneaky going for the shot again, but no. Just going to keep knocking out and just going for it over and over again. And Dusky is more interested in the piece control. Now Sneaky going to be taking advantage of the 7 minis that he does have. He's got to be careful though. Only 4 builds left to work with.
That was actually very clever by Dusky there. He actually took the wall and then edited it so the builds can break, just denying one more piece if that player would have fell in. You know, you got to give credit where credit's due. That was very smart. Tries to go for the cone here. Once again, though, you know, he's not really entertaining this. He's not trying to have this big build here. It's already brought a lot of attention, but lets his guard down and gets shut down. Dusky, the veteran in this fight of the 2, wins that one out here. Dusky, okay, so he buys himself another opportunity here, another chance to stay in the game here.
There we go, and hopefully they can pick up a lot of loot from the Sanctuary that is left. Depends on what was used, but Muzz and Avery actually find him. 2 eliminations also onto Larson and Smite, and we saw that Larson and Smite were getting cold and sent to run for their money before. And here we can see how Dusky actually ended up picking that early elimination up and why it was a 1v1 situation to begin with. You know, Dusky just working his angles, doing what he does.
Take a look here, NRG's day inside the box. That's a big tag right there. The man is letting loose here. He's already got that. This is an epic SMG in place. This is perfect kind of spot he wants to be in. Only racking up 7 points in that last game. We saw the downfall. It came down to the Surge, and this is why all those teams, it seems like all the teams that had Surge issues last round are like, hey guys, listen, we got to fight here. We got to take these battles a little bit earlier. Uh-oh.
Careful, though.
Very bad. Yeah, it's very bad for Clicks and Day here as they let their guard open to the side. If that team opens up, there it is. They're going to find big tags. Day loses all shield, huge cracks. So does Clicks now. Pressure coming in from the duo they were chasing originally now, too. All of a sudden, tables have been turned.
Yeah, they solidify here, right? They get a little bit of a reset. I think they have plenty of heals to heal up, and Clix is using those mats that he has. Got a lot of hard mats, 400 brick, 500 metal, so they'll be able to stay safe here. And as you can see, the orange arrows on the map look like they're disengaged with the web shooters. That was crazy for Clix today, almost a detrimental situation because they had one team in the back of them and another team sneaking up on top, but they're mechanical, they're well aware. They regrouped very quickly, and they're going to be both back up to basically full HP, reassess the situation, make sure that all their angles are clear, and yeah, he's reconfirming that these duos are just disengaging. Ooh, sliding off there.
I was gonna say, it looked like he almost fell victim to the same mistake as last time, not putting his guard up, looking at the team that's to his east. There it is. Ooh. Turns and burns. Big tags there, whites as well. So might be a switch of focus, switch of target here. But again, he's got problems on both sides. Now, these guys start to take this personal. Could be bad, but Day seems like he finds a big crack and Clix, tries to go all the way on in. It's not looking too hot though, as now once again has to burn through another armored wall. He is using these so early. These are the types of utilities, the types of items you really want to save for endgame, for when you are in dire situations. But the fact that he's using them this early is showing how much he's taking this battle seriously. He's willing to throw it all on the table there and burn these big items.
Yeah, while that was going down and Clix was in that little bit of a detrimental situation, Day was off to the side and actually picked up a knock on the nose in there and finds the Elam there after Clix does a mechanical job to just get out of that situation, instantly reacting to any move that his opponent made. That was really well done by Clix. Give Day the room that he needed to work an angle there and pick up a quick elimination. And again, we're just seeing a lot of aggression in the early game. Not a lot of players liking how Storm Surge went for them in that first game, so they're switching it up, going for some early elims. And Day and Clix, while they only have one elimination, they probably have enough damage to have about 3 or 4 because they have been in multiple fights so far. So they are probably going to be chilling. And Scented and Cold here, listen, they're my prediction, and let me run you through why I picked them, right? So last weekend, qualifiers 1 and 2, they landed at Sleepy Sound. Did not go well at all. Towards the end of qualifier 2, they were like, let's try out Covert, right? And that didn't necessarily work out. You know, they had one day to think about it. But coming into this weekend, this Cash Cup a couple days ago, they actually got 4th, right? And that was landing at Covert. So I think that they've had enough practice, enough research done by the two of them, so that way they can actually clutch it up today. And I think they'll be the top 6.
My only question is, you know, is it cold maybe, like just kind of playing in the heat of the moment? Is it Scented? Someone's, you know, holding, I think, back one or the other right now in these final settings while the pressure is high. You wouldn't think Scented would be the one who's kind of crumbling under the pressure, but he's the one who's gone down first every time we've basically seen these battles go down. So I don't know if it's Cold being a little bit more passively playing passive, right? Not necessarily there, hip to hip, going for the confidence fights, because that's kind of what plays the biggest part. But you know, only time will tell. 4 more games to pick up Victory Royale or place top 6 is the most consistent before we really start to figure things out here. Over at the Bugle, Mackwood clutches up alongside Donnie. Big eliminations there. It was almost all over. Looked like it was, you know, disaster knocking on Donnie's door there. But for a moment, he manages to, you know what, shoo him away and stay in the round there with Mackwood's help.
Yeah, 2 early eliminations from Mackwood. Looks like they are going to be surviving off spawn. Not interested in fighting Polarized and Nico at all over at the Daily Bugle. Happy with how it's going when they make it all spawn. And as you can see, there are only 2 returning duos from the previous FNCS Duos Finals. Who are they?
There are only 2 returning duos from the previous FNCS Duos Finals. My gosh, how long ago?
Wow.
What teams are sticking with one another? I'm gonna go Pansto and Thatch.
And then I wonder if it's in this session only, because we got Dubs and Mega, right? Like, they are still a duo.
True.
There we go.
Hey, Dubs and Mega. Good call, good call.
Yeah,
you got an Unleash. Hey,
yep.
Man. Punching in.
Dubs and Mega Man, all the way back to World Cup. They've been together for a very long time. They actually aren't in this session, but they will be in tomorrow's session on Saturday.
Yep.
In the semifinals because of how the seeding works. Basically, we're going to have 11 players qualify through today and then replaced by the next seeded 11 players tomorrow, and that's where Dubs and Mega fall.
They were great, but just not good enough to be here in this first attempt. These guys, the guys that you're watching play today, have the best odds, right? Just have the best odds at making it so far. So all of them will have, you know, these extra rounds, which could be the difference here. You know, simple things, right? Even just playing it out, getting a feel for the competition, knowing what the pacing is going to be like. I mean, I'm sure no one was expecting that first game to have 94 players alive, right? Then all of a sudden now we're seeing how teams are mixing it up here, being a little bit more proactive coming into this early game. But we're stepping ourselves one moment closer now into, or what will be the mid game. So Surge is definitely active here. You can see the warning starting to pop up. 160 damage below for some. Jackson and Taco here are looking to go and change that into the box. He goes, he doesn't even blink, doesn't even hesitate, and tees off here, catches Teed with just a quick elimination right there. Not only that, look at the loadout. He didn't have anything. That was like barely any bullets left inside the SMG, but he makes work of it.
Yeah, that was a do or be eliminated moment right there. And he was like, listen, I'm going to choose to do today as J-Man falls what looked like was a couple more floors than I had thought so, but actually only takes 22 damage from that fall damage there. But he's getting pressured from every which way. Storm Surge, fall damage, team to his north, team to his south. Not a good situation, but does find the reset here. Finds his teammate Day Fan.
Pretty rough. I saw on the feed there, Fable Taco goes down as well.
Yeah.
The hands of, it seems like Owl was the one who picked up that elimination. Goofy's down now too. Nosh is left by himself here to fend up this game here, trying to make the best of it. 18 damage above the Surge, but the Storm is ticking here, and they're starting to do a little bit of a 2-tick. Out he goes. Did he time it correctly? Yeah, he'll have just enough, but down to 4 more ticks would have been the difference there. This is so risky. Oh, this is so risky. Finds a med miss. Okay. Okay, wait a second. No. Oh, I was gonna say, did it go into zone? Are you kidding me? Like.
Here we go. Something that we haven't seen in a while, okay? I know this is going to be, you know, talking a little bit of smack on him, but Scented and Cold find 2 eliminations. They're 262 damage above. Now we might be able to see a solid game out of these two, and I am really hoping that we do, because we know how good they are in the game. Scented, known as the low ground king. I want to see what they can do when they get to that position. They just had troubles in their early and the middle game, so let's see how they end up faring throughout this middle game.
I was going to say, if there's any commentator who could talk a little bit of smack, it's definitely Vivid, guys, all right? He's been in the trenches. He's got his war stripes, okay? So pressure's on for Scented and Cold here. Yes, good on them. They got a couple elims. Here's the highlight package of just, again, the Surge package, what went down in that last fight. Those were great eliminations right there, by the way. Quick and easy, clean elims. That's what we expect of a top-tier, top-caliber team like this. And now, sights on Nosy here.
Yeah, and making some observations about how Scented and Cold have been playing, I feel like it really comes down to decisiveness. I feel like we always, you know, hail these players for making decisive right decisions. And honestly, Scented is making some decisive decisions. I just don't think that they've been the right ones. So he either needs to, 1, kind of reset, rethink the decisions he's making, or 2, they need to just make decisions a little bit slower. They need to take a step back, really assess the situation, because we know how smart he is. We know that he can make good assessments. But I just don't think that right now he's making them as quickly as he's making decisions. So if he can get some resets in there, then I think that they are going to be chilling, and we'll learn as the games go along for sure. And Macwood and Anya over here trying his hardest to grab some loot with these web shooters.
I mean, when you see that much just sitting there, you kind of are tempted to. Macwood is just completely out in the open there. Day on the other side, though, trying to fight his way through, finds himself a second elimination. This is on to Dusky now. Little payback for the team that was pressuring him a bit earlier there. So these are fights that have been dragged out and drug into the new safety of the line now. Once again, just favoring and housing all of these players. Coney Crossroads has the crossroads of sorts. Yes, tons of players here settling down. Let me take another quick glimpse here. Here's what happened. Dusky and crew try to jump inside the box. Mistakes were made, though, as Clicks and Day masterfully back up, outposition them, and just outgun them in the 1-to-1 head-to-head situation, both of which pick up their own individual elims. Now, again, these spicy splashes coming into play here. You're seeing how having the excess mobility, that extra mobility can come in handy, but repeat performance from last game. Wait a second. Big pressure coming in.
Oh.
No, who was that?
Assault.
Whoa. Oh, gosh.
Listen, Day getting a little lazy there. Does not put a roof on top of his head when he gets beamed in the back, and a player just finds himself right into the box with a little bit of piece control. But interestingly enough, he gets pickaxed, and then the player just kind of like, all right, I disrespected you. I'm kind of out of here now. And Day's going to be getting a quick res in there, and they're going to be on their way, but not an easy task ahead of them, because if we're looking at the zone, there are some hills ahead of them, and a lot of players are posting up, hungry for some storm surge. They don't want to be put into a bad situation. Ooh, interesting decision here to Rift. A lot of players will start looking up in the sky. I wonder if these players will make it out of this safely.
I don't know. Sentis got his eyes on the prize here, but no shots are going to connect here. Another player down right there. Okay, so that might just be a pickup here. Cold now turns focus to the left side. These are teams that still have to rotate too. Their time is ticking. No, actually, they might just be on the outer edge. But it's shots like that that can force the lobby to start looking in and maybe deciding, you know what, we're going to pressure them too. Then all of a sudden, everyone's firing at you. Qual and Quanti are just in the perfect position to get lobby focused. AMT on the other side, though, taking a battle too. This is a close range fight here. The last time we saw Princess Wolf and AMT in this kind of situation, they were actually eliminated. So we might be seeing their first elims, their first moments of success here on stream, on the big stage. Blasto gets taken out, so okay, they managed to get the lobby's attention in here. Wolf is going to step on up.
Love that. Love how they played that. They weren't quick to just kind of jump in the box, right? He got the knock, and you might be thinking, oh, 2v1 situation, go for the other elim, but no. Well aware that there are a lot of players that are looking for some easy tags, some easy elims, and they just kind of chill in the safety of their own builds, let those players get rooted out by the other players in the lobby just by spraying them in the back. And I've seen Clix and Day pick up a couple elims as it's developed, so they are just running through the lobby right now.
Yeah, look, another one onto Taco there, and Jackson too. Another finish. My gosh, as Pamstu looked like he took out Polarize as well. Big names clashing left and right. You know, again, this is the nature of Fortnite, and we knew where Clix was. Clix is that he was on the western portion of this zone, so they do not have the safety of the zone. I'm assuming they were looking in at the pocket of these players down at the southern area, forcing those shots down range, and they just stole a few elims of other players that were clashing against one another, because it doesn't seem like there's much chaos around them. Now, though, Macwood has to make his rotate. Clix and Day here have to move as well, too. Look at that. They end up on top of all these other opponents, and now the zone is just north of them. Look at this. When we last checked in with Clix, Clix had like 40 or 60 ammo inside the AR, now up to 500. So the perfect type of situation where you find a refresher. But not only that, it's the mythic MK7. It's the big boy weapon. We saw the pros talking about it in the pre-show. This is probably the best weapon you can have in your hands in endgame, in early game, in any position, honestly.
Yeah, I love this though, man. Look at this. They have 5 eliminations, and you might be thinking, they got to be chilling. They got to be so good. But no, look, Dave's got 22 total builds. They are just such a momentum-based team. If they find one elimination, they're not even like chilling anymore, because they used so much to actually get it, but they did it in such a good way. They just got to keep that momentum rolling. So interesting to see how they're going to take hold of this end game here. And Scented and Cold, this is what we're going to see. It looks like they're going to make it into the end game. They do have a launch pad to use. It'll be interesting to see if they use it here on this first moving zone. Looking for the piece control, finds it. Ooh, barely misses that left wall there, and only takes a return of 19 damage. So he's still chilling, but again, you know, it does have that launch pad, and the first moving zone is coming up. I think they use it because Scented and Cold haven't had an end game in a long time. We know that they're good at it. I think they just get themselves there and don't try to greed anything. And I think that they can run away with this from the low ground.
In the feed, I saw Quanti fall as well. I had a brief little glimpse of my pick, Knifer and Byla, still in this game too. So there's other people to continue to keep your eyes on. Here's 20 and Reciprocal. Day. Clicks now. Line them up. Trying to decide, do we rotate? Do we take the fight here? Just have to go ahead and possibly switch layers. They don't have much to work with. Great shots coming out here from Day and Clicks now. Tags, everything being traded. Crunchy's gonna find Cold there. Muzz falls as well. These are big exchanges. Once again, remember, consistency is your second best friend here. Scented finds Sparebow. Okay.
And he's got a good loadout here as a solo. You know, he's got the chug plus. Don't want to be in a box with another player when you are a solo, though. But 3 peppers to work with, 75 total math, and he's actually just able to run through a lot of these builds and not even use any of his own. So that was really well played. I think that Sented's got a good opportunity here to solo clutch for his duo and get something rolling for them.
I mean, at the very least, there is points to be made here. This is the end game now, guys. With every team that falls, there's going to be positioning rewarded to players that have managed to stay alive here. Day on a layer with a few players, so that's going to be a shield crack. It's off to Pamstu, and that is the terrible terrible spot to be in there. Out they go. They managed to change a few layers. You know, just slipping out of the grips of Day and Clicks here, who are on fire. They're hungry for a refresh, hungry for elimination. Someone gets caught up. It's Avery.
Nice.
Sorry, buddy. You're not going to escape this one. Not today, not here. That's the 4th elimination now for Day, as they manage to start racking up here with much needed material as well. On high ground, new team up above. It's Pledge and Teo. Teo no longer in this game. Pledge playing as a solo. Big fall damage here as he gets broken down, and he's just trying to hold this out, but the low ground is looking up. It's actually Clicks and Day. Will they be able to get this game here? They're setting themselves up for what might be a big comeback here, but no. As we expect, other teams flying on up right now, and it's an all-out brawl and war for the high ground right now.
Clicks and they are on the hunt for this victory royale, looking for the elim here on this player to secure themselves this high ground. And yeah, they're not going to find eliminations, but they are going to find the high ground. And let me tell you, as this game has been going on, ooh, Day makes an aggressive play when he was in such a good position. But again, he only had 12 builds, so he wasn't comfortable finishing the game out from the high ground with such little builds. And Pure and Crunchy are going to make a realization that, hey, these guys just jumped off of height. Now it's ours.
Yeah, it's the 2nd time now Crunchy and Pure end up on high ground here. The last time it was snatched up from them, they gladly and easily they just gave it up. They don't want to battle for it. They know they have these mythic hands to go ahead and just swing their way back on up. But Day and Clicks have their eyes up above. They're trying to demand positioning here. Joji now on this layer with them. Look, he's not even focused. Day is not focused at all on the teams that are below them. They want to find an opportunity to swing for height here. It's all or nothing. If they can just punch in this win, that's going to be huge. But wait a second, they're going to sneak on in. No shots being delivered here, but pressure is on. The shots are coming out. Look at this. Once they start really unleashing, everyone clears out. They start clearing out the room.
Yeah, and it looks like Donnie is a solo as well left in this game. Back over here to Clicks and Day. They're looking for these aggressive elims. Like I said, they are such a momentum-based team. They never really like to just settle in and box up. They like to just keep going, and it's working so well. Finding an elimination
oh my gosh.
wasn't necessarily his, but going to be finding the refresh nonetheless, and he's going to be finding himself some mats. Going to drop him over to Clicks as Day actually goes down. Clicks left to do it as a solo.
No, that's unfortunate, but look at this. He's going to drop all the loot there. That's one of those mechanic changes there. You are able to pick up your friend's heals, and this is going to give him at least a small win condition and a couple more moments. And there it is, the most important thing, picking up that med miss, but high ground is looking in. Clicks gets a little brief glimpse of what's going on up above. For a second there, decision to jump in the vehicle, but he says, no, I'm taking the foot control here. Here's a player that's weak, it's Rokane. Into the box he goes, misses a shot, doesn't hit the second one either.
Ooh.
No siphon to keep him alive, and down he goes inside the top 3. Pure and Crunchy on height. One build left for Pure. They have to come down here. Luckily, there are buildings to play off of, and this is going back into Coney Crossroads. Now, we've seen the zone already start here, so these are a bunch of old player builds. User and Threats are in the best position now to go on and refarm some material. This is actually one of the few times that high ground is at a disadvantage now. Crunchy and Pure barely have anything to work off of as far as recycling material here, Vivid.
Yeah, and Threats and Users are going to be refarming as much as they can of this building and applying pressure to the build, trying to break them out here because they know they got to be low on the builds, on the high ground. You don't find any builds up there, and Threats will go crazy here, kind of try to show off his team the best. He just hit every single shot, cleans it up. Victory Royale, place in the grand finals for Threats and Users there.
We love to see that as well. Threats and Users won. Again, caster favorites and picks here. We've definitely been keeping an eye out on them. Vets in the space and a team that has been consistent up until now as well. Take a look at how Threats and Users walks home with the victory out here in the end. No builds. He just goes toe-to-toe, believes in the gunplay, and ends up winning that one out there, finding the great last shot onto Crunchy. GG's for Users. And Man City Stars, they punch their way to finals here, straight out of semis in game number 2.
Let's go, and that was so clean. I love how you mentioned that. Like, this is one of those opportunities where higher ground is actually at a disadvantage, and you really got to pay attention to your mats. That's why we saw Day earlier actually drop off of the higher ground. Wasn't sure in his ability to clutch that game out with only 12 builds, so he goes for more of an aggressive play. And Threats and Users well aware of the possibility that those players are out of mats and takes full advantage of it. Just aim duels everybody and wins out.
Yeah, definitely. We've been there before. Other notable teams, they'll start to make a comeback, a little swing for the fences here as players are trying to rack up some points. Let's toss them over to Desk, give us the standings, let us know where we stand right now. It's getting crazy.
Oh, what a way to have a game number 2 end like that. The low ground they're working for Threats and Users. We thought they were going to go all the way there and do something special. what with the clout they've had in the past from kind of previous FNCS and such, and SBG, they did exactly that. They went all the way and saw it out and confirmed their place in the finals.
Yeah, some solid low ground play from these guys, and typically this is not what we've seen thus far this season during FNCS, but ultimately it came down to a lack of mats on both sides, Threats and users. I mean, we see the pure aim from Threats, just knocking every shot that he can get and taking home the dub here, Sundown.
Yeah, you have to play with what you're given, and so far we've seen if you're just able to eke out enough control and make it to the end, like that was a fair 2v2, but right now NA's and Manchester both painted blue. Man City Threats 33 users going through, Threats putting up a phenomenal performance as well, and that's what it's going to take to get into the finals, because so far we've seen some pretty good individual efforts, some pretty good duos, but you have to put it all together or come up huge. That's basically been the only 2 win conditions so far we've seen out of EU and NA East.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great point as well to talk about kind of, things have to be in your favor. You need things in front of you. And sometimes you just need to put on a special performance in the moment. And we saw that from Clix and Day, particularly Day there we saw on the feed for a while there. And just seeing going ham, going at it. I think at one stage we're down to 4 mats and knew he had to continue driving through the builds to keep in the game ultimately, because you need those so desperately towards the end. And they just did such a great job, SBG, of remaining in there and putting on quite a show as well.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. This team just thrives on the chaos that they create in these end games, just finding people, creating teams in poor situations, and then jumping in on them. I mean, Day makes plays that you're like, oh, what is that? Why are you doing that? And then it's like, oh, okay, you have 2 elims. That was maybe a good play for no one else but him. And time again, he does it, makes himself look so good.
Yeah, he's a playmaker. He's able to manufacture eliminations and plays out of what seemingly might be nothing, but he has good spatial awareness, and I think he has better timing. He knows when he's able to take advantage of players, and in a normal circumstance, to be looking at their first 2 game performance and be like, hey, this is pretty good. We've racked up our number of elims, but they need to keep that train rolling. As we've seen, the top 6 always finds a way of creeping it up, and so far, despite their good effort, they haven't really been that close to a victory royale.
Indeed. Let's take a look and see exactly who has got the VRs so far today. 2 games down, 3 to go. You can see from our first game, Shadow and Me2 went through, but in game number 2, Users and Threats, they have made it. The boys rotating out of Condo Canyon have now cleared out, as they'll be going all the way through straight to the finals, and does open up now that POI, which we think is uncontested right now, so maybe a team might change up proceedings and head there. SBG, the standings with our 2 teams that have gone through, subtracted. Talk us through the points right now.
Oh yeah, we see Donnie and Macwood still hanging out there in first place. Day and Clix able to push themselves up to 7th with that performance. But Jochi and Rokane, pretty much a surprise. We didn't really see too much of them, but 10 elims already, a lot of placement points. They're a team to watch out for consistency, because they're rolling.
Yeah, and there's a lot of duos we can mention up there. You have Yos and Oki, Slacks and Clarity. You have Day and Clicks also on there. Just outside, there was a decent drop-off from 8th to 9th, but all of these teams still plenty of Fortnite to be played with 3 matches left. You can see TNA, Muzz, C9, Avery, as well as Wanted, Mubuka, Peterbot, and Quanti, who had a very unfortunate little bit of split in that first game. I mean, it's anybody's name, as well as Nexy and Wrigley. Nexy's had a phenomenal individual performance so far in the NA East FNCS, so they're all just right kind of in that top 6 range. Again, eyes are on the Victory Royale, but with 3 matches left to play, we're going to start keeping an eye on kind of what that top 6 looks like.
Definitely. Obviously, 5 games today rather than 6. So we often say that the game 3, 4 is when teams start to kind of reevaluate and kind of maybe approach things differently. We're in game 3. We're kind of almost in the second half here now. So teams need to step up, make it count, because there's only a few opportunities left to get those victory royales to progress immediately through to finals next weekend. Let's head back into the action. It's game 3 coming your way. MDF, Vivid, what do you got for us, boys? Let's go.
I mean, we're seeing it unfold right here. People are clocking out, right? Shift's almost over, guys. There's only 3 more games left, Vivid. A few more opportunities to get that easy win. Maybe not easy, but the straight pass to finals, the quick win there. Otherwise, you have to continue to stay consistent, which some of our big dogs have not so far.
Yeah, the story there has got to be Macwood and Donnie finding themselves at the top of the leaderboard. We talked about how they just got to find themselves off a spawn, and they'll be good. And actually, Polarized and Nico, I believe they were in 9th on the leaderboard too, so it's actually working out for both of those teams. So interesting to see how Daily Bugle, if they'll change it up, maybe Nico and Polarized aren't too happy with how Storm Surge going, get a little bit more aggressive because they know they can stomp out Macwood and Donnie.
Yeah, definitely. That Storm Surge is always going to be a pesky one for the players here. It's just that thing, right? You have to take a battle, but how far are you willing to take that fight? Once you get a couple tags, maybe you have the advantage. For some, that's the difference maker, right? We've seen players get taken out early. Like, for a second there, Cold and Scented, right? Losing Scented early in that game and then trying to claw back in. You know, those are those, again, unfortunate situations you can find yourself in for trying to get to those fights. But it looks like the battle bus is here and game 3 is underway. So let's go ahead and hop on in and check out what we got.
And here we go. 3 more games left today to prove yourselves worthy of an FNCS Grand Finals. And right off the bat, Sprite's like, listen, I am worthy of Greasy Grove. It is mine, Agers and Rise. Please leave.
We saw that last game. We saw Agers catch Nounsy first inside the elimination feed. This time, Observers is like, nope, we're not missing it. We're starting there right away, and we catch it. But before we even get to the full scope of what went down, Sprite and Nounsy find themselves 2 quick eliminations. Reciprocal and 20, though, they've been in a battle just head-to-head against Rhythm and Crew here. And you know what? They're doing a pretty decent job at it, if I do say so myself. 64 points now. That's 2 games in a row. They at least should just consistent enough, making it not only out of this drop, but into somewhat of an end game here. But for the first time now, we're watching the cards be dealt out, and maybe it's not in their favor in full here. 20 lit up here, no shield, and Rhythm finds himself the full keg to play off of as well, so he's gonna get max HP here shortly. This is not looking too good. I do wonder, is he just gonna back out here, maybe give him this one and come back a little later for the reboot card?
Ooh, 20 finds the quick knock there on the Shiesty. And let me tell you something here. If Reciprocal didn't actually quote-unquote donate that keg there, then this would be a much easier clutch situation here for 20. Gotta pay attention though. Paying close attention to the roost. Gunplay going down. Rhythm down to 17 HP. 1 more bullet, and it's going to be Raps. 20 tries to find it, but not going to be landing that last and final shot, and Rhythm clutches up with the green pistol.
Came down to the difference of 17 HP, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, so unfortunate for 20, and great job for Rhythm and Shiesty to stay in the game right now. Jumping on over to Covert Cav, and it looks like, okay, so it really does look like Scented and Cold have completely, you know, foregone the whole drop spot of Sleepy Sound. They're just coming straight to Covert Cavern and willing to battle it out, this time taking control of the Vault card. That's new. We have not seen them with the card. Even in the last game, it was actually in the hands of Moo and Wanted here, who were the team that was pretty much sticking around for, you know, the entire duration, trying to wait into the storm line to get the loot that drops out of the Vault here. So, you know, Scented and Cold have a decision to play in a game to make a couple of options, if you will.
Yeah, again, I think they just got to reset, assess the situation, take it a little bit slower than they have, and work on the fact they have that Q card. But we've seen plenty of people just kind of stick around as Nervface sticks his face out of the build, and Keys is like, hey, stick that back down, and takes a couple shots there as Click picks up an elimination in Elim feed there.
Those elims are huge for players like Clicks as well, who are, I think, just being carried off of their elims at this point. Not getting too much placement, but, you know, those elims do manage to rack up and count. Nerfface and Bacon going back out here. Decide that the battle's not worth the troubles. They got what they could from the engagement, from the clash there.
Yeah, and interesting, right? Like, you take one of those split drops, and if you don't actually take that early game fight, I mean, there's not a lot of loot to go ahead and go gather up after you leave that spot. So, interesting development there. And, I mean, maybe they'll get lucky, find a couple chests along the way, get blessed with some really good RNG, pops out some minis, some big potions, and they'll be back into it. They just got to take some time, farm some mats, as we know our players love to do, right? This is Fortnite. Got to make sure that you got your mat count max at all times, and players that don't like to do that are Clicks and Day. They like to just go for max elims rather than max mats.
Hey, you know, they're like, you go farm, and we'll take you out, and thanks for the hard work. And that's ours now.
Scented and Cold.
Yes.
There we go. And doesn't look like they had to find any elims for it, so it'll be interesting to see if they can actually fight their way out of this, as Macwood and Donnie look like they have pretty much all of Daily Bugle left to themselves. I think Polarize and Nico found an elim earlier in the feed, so they probably rotated out fairly quickly and left Macwood and Donnie here to just chill out and hang out at top spot on the leaderboard. They are not complaining about the situation right now at all, but with an early rotation out of Nico and Polarize, that means that Macwood and Danya are going to have to make some moves for Storm Surge.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if they didn't trade any tags and get into any kind of fight in that early situation. I just wanted to bring attention, like Scented and Cold's play, it makes sense now. In game 1 and 2, they were willing to camp out the vault, stay in the storm, and make it very difficult. The time that they finally get the card, the key card, the opponents are like, yeah, no, you can just have it. We're out of here, right? So just different mentality in play, right? Different strategy as well. So kind of interesting. So I do wonder if the pressure, right, being alleviated since they have the vault key card and all that loot, how that's going to work out for them.
Yeah, I don't think they necessarily need that vault, right? And that's kind of what the other players are thinking. Like, listen, all right, well, we lost out on getting the card this time. That doesn't mean that we're just going to sit here in Storm and try to throw away our game. We're just going to leave and try to see what we can work with without it. It's pretty much lost already anyway, as Chonker Speedway down there gets a little bit of a development. And this is where Nico and Polarize actually picked up that elim that I was talking about on the Boxer here, right to the west of Daily Bugle. They did make that early rotation and find 2 quick eliminations. So they're going to be set up nice and large. And as I mentioned, coming into this game, they were 9th on the leaderboard. So Daily Bugle is working out very well for both of those teams.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you know what? That's a surprise onto Boxer and company, right? You know, you don't expect players like Polarize and Nico to rotate out early, but that's what happens when you have a winner's chance, right? They have a fighting chance right now. They're inside the top 10. They're like, hey, this game's going great. You know, I know we're contested here at the drop, but is it worth it? Let's just go somewhere else, right? Let's continue to extend it, see what happens, let's make the best of these rounds. And just like that, it works out even better. 2 quick elims, plenty of loot, and they managed to survive the drop without a problem. No sweat in sight. Scented and Coldo sitting at a strong, solid 17, so they're just in the upper bracket of where they can be in this competition. By no means are they're out just yet, but with a couple of rounds left in the game here, there's only 5 games today. Is there enough space for them to jump up to the top?
Yeah, and getting that vault there, looks like they have 2 launch pads in total. But Larson and Smite, they've kind of had an interesting day so far. They haven't really had much success, and again, looks like they're finding themselves on the back foot here as they're all the way north, now tanking out the storm, kind of in a face-off with Nosh and Goofy Goober there. And Nosh and Goofy Goober, they're like, hey, listen, we tried to get some elims, some storm surge damage, but it's no longer working out, so we're just going to take a truck. But Larson and Smite, doesn't look like they have a vehicle where they can just leave, so they got some walking to do.
Yeah, you know, it's a very expensive ride from that bar outside the storm. That's going to cost them tons of heals and everything in between. Clicks and Day, though, on the other side over at the Joneses here, you know, very comfortable. Not many players, you know, in their surrounding area. They are, however, quickly rotating into what will be a fresh team of 2. That's a guess. These guys, with all this space here, are probably going to be mega looted. But it looks like Clicks and crew are on high alert right now. Oh, yeah, that sign right there, the reboot van, the battery up, hot red. They know this is a fight. They're going to take this fight. They're probably going to finish this fight. And honestly, this is the scariest spot to be in when Day is confident and Clicks is confident, right? They know they have the advantage, like undoubtedly know. It's over. These are their elims.
Yeah, and I love that, right? Day goes for an untraditional kind of an engagement there. He finds the piece control and opts to just back up, actually, and use the MK7 at range to find a quick amount of damage. And Serbsky and Duo there are just going to be no match. Day and Clicks with a map awareness, noticing that there goes a little bit of a reboot, and they go ahead, instantly consume a pepper, and they're off to the races there. And now they actually have a total of 3 eliminations.
Clicks and Day rolled up to the FNCS meeting. We're like, okay, so 2 ways to win. Oh, we could just eliminate a lot of players here. Okay, you know what? Let's get all the elimination points. Sure, we'll take the average high placement and punch our way through. We don't got to win the game. We'll be okay. For Sensitive and Cold here, you know, at this point, it looks like Victor Royale is their only option, and they're leaning into that. They have the launch pad here. This is what they need. This is what they really, really need. And look at that. Chili Chug Splash as well. 6 of them to play with.
This game's looking good, okay? And, you know, you speak to the point that, like, Victor Royale is looking like the only option, and these guys don't win a lot of games. You know, they just never really do. They like to play a style that's just consistent. They usually get those top 5 finishes. So hopefully they can clutch it up in these last 3 games here. I think if they get some top 5 finishes with some decent elims, they can get top 6 easily on the day. But Peterbot and Quanti here in 14th place, kind of on the north side of zone, off in a stare off against Wanted, trying to figure out what to do. They're based up really, really high. Just looking for some Storm Surge. Probably won't develop into a fight at all, and they'll probably just walk away and try to make themselves over to the zone, as Macwin and Donnie find themselves in a similar face-off where they're looking for some early Storm Surge as well, because again, mentioned Polarize and Nico dipped out early, so now Macwood and Donnie need some other targets, and their eyes are going to be set on Lava Boy and Shark Girl.
Yeah, looks like a big brawl is about to break out here. Little do they know there are players inside the storm line as well, just lurking, right, ever so slowly, biding their time, probably looking for the perfect time to jump in. Donnie is going to go in and play this mountain. This is the, again, positioning themselves. They find the team in the storm too, so okay, a couple big shots there, but battle developing here on top of Peterbot and Quanti. They're going to go and take the rift here. Chase is on. The real question is, do they want to go ahead and fully hunt him down here? Oh, it doesn't look like it. They can see exactly where they are. They're just going to go play deep into the zone. New Storm's going to reveal themselves. The lowest team on the Surge right now is actually 200, or just a little bit below that. This is the team, Peterbot and crew, are 280 above. So some teams got a lot of work to do out here.
Yeah, and as we see, you know, the player counts as the games go on are thinning out quicker and quicker, and Quanti and Peterbot just going to be hitting a reset. Taking those rifts, a little bit dangerous in these lobbies. All the players are very good at aiming, so you're vulnerable up in the sky. You can use your builds when you're up there, so players can just get some easy shots in if they got the aim. And listen, we're in semifinals of an FNCS. All the players got the aim.
Yeah, everyone here is again, just bonkers at the game, right? We're talking about the best, most 50 consistent teams going head-to-head right now, and only then, after the teams punch out today, teams qualify through. The next ones I'll let in. We have a slow roll system coming in here, so you guys have played exceptionally well to make it this far into semis with this new format that we're looking at here. J-Man and Dayfan, though, big shots going down here, 6 damage below the Surge. This is just one of those, you know, just blow a little air on the team next door and you'll be okay. Here it is. Okay, down body. Might have been the blessing in disguise, but still not enough. That downed player was a little too lit up, so it doesn't pull and extract enough damage out of that. They have to find this player. Bacon's running right now. He's trying to avoid them, but they absolutely need to catch him.
Yeah, the chase is on, trying to keep their game alive. Not only is the Elam good for points, but really they just need the Storm Surge at this point. A simple tag will do it for them, but this player is pretty elusive. They cannot find him at all. And in the midst of all of it, looks like J-Man actually goes down. A little lackluster on the awareness there. Kind of gets his sights too set on finding that elimination and just gets knocked out, but probably find the res there as we switch over to Sparebow, who is also below, and they're trying to find themselves some quick damage. I see some shots going off in the distance, trying to play around that. But Pamsto and Fatch might be the targets here, as they're opting to just try to heal through this and then maybe take an engagement after they're all healed up.
Man, it's not looking too hot for Sparebow here. As you can see, like, listen, not only is the Surge coming in, their next best option is to fight Pamsto in duo and Fatch there in a duo 2v2 clash. Like, that's not a great option. It's not a great team at all that you want to go up against. This is not looking too hot here. They're trying to wait it out. Okay, luckily, the other teams end up falling. Wrigley finds Smite here and alleviates the pressure off of them. There it is. Things are starting to light up here, but they're going to know that the next zone is still the same situation is going to happen here. They are at the bottom of the totem pole here when it comes down to the damage that needs to be done. So they are not safe by any means.
Yeah, and Clicks or Day are happy. They're going to be on the dead side of zone all the way to the south. Not a lot of players around them, just a couple off in the distance that are based up real early on right in the center of zone. Clicks and Day are really happy, right? They find those early eliminations, don't have to worry about Storm Surge, so they can just base up wherever they want. As Okus and Yuz, as you can see, they try to make a quick play onto a team for some Storm Surge and just get punished in the back by these rifles from range.
Yeah, these are those highlights of other battles unfolding in real time around the map. You see what happened there with Yuz. That was the player that honestly went down to the expense of saving Sparebow and crew, because, you know, it wasn't looking too hot for Sparebow for a moment there, having to go head-to-head with Pamsto and Thatch. Okay, let's take a look here. So we have Sprite and Nounsy alive right now, the team that can definitely win a game. We have Clicks and Day here leading with 5 in 5th place currently. 3 eliminations already in this game. So what we're seeing, honestly, teams start to mold their way in, and quite possibly the first instances of our most consistent looking to break away. Sprite is one of 3 players to advance through multiple winners, take-all type semis in Chapter 2 Season 6 and Chapter 2 Season 8. So the man's been here. He's pretty comfortable when it comes down to being in the winner's seat, right?
Yeah, seasons ago, right? That just speaks to how long Sprite has been doing well in these types of competitions. It's a surprise to even see him have to come to the semifinals, but nonetheless, you know, it doesn't really matter how you place it till the grand finals come around. So as long as he makes it there, then who's counting? As Macwood and Donnie find themselves in a similar situation, but they're a little bit ahead of the game as they are first on the leaderboard and doing well out of the Daily Bugle today. And we came into this questioning their ability because they were just getting stomped out there, but these first 3 games are going very, very well as they find themselves in a pretty good position here. And it looks like a lot of teams are up here in the northeastern section of the zone. You know, we talk about Storm Surge and how it impacts these lobbies, and a lot of players don't like the dead side anymore because there's just nobody over there, right? That's why it's called the dead side. But when you find yourselves in a situation like Clicks and Day, 3 early eliminations, you don't got to worry about Storm Surge. And surprisingly enough, you know, they actually put the brakes on. They don't go for elims anymore, and they're playing very, very smart in the southern side of the zone, as the rest of these teams up here, the rest of the lobby, are going to find themselves in a pretty hard situation to rotate throughout this.
Look at this. Look at the 2 vehicles come just bulldozing out of the boxes here. Macklin and Donnie are in one, another team in the other, coming off the mountain just above them. So revving the engine, it's almost like they just, it was calculated, like, hey, they're in their car, we're in ours, yeah, let's go. Then out they all come rolling. Macklin and Donnie, okay, so they get into the new zone. Listen, they're about, do you think they're one good solid, if they can manage to get out of here consistent, have they done enough? 88 points, like the 3rd place team had 71 points, so I mean it's getting closer and closer. Could this be it?
That is a good point. It looks like the 6th place team has around like 50 points, right? And that's in Clicks and Day. We probably have now around like 60, so they've got about a 30-point lead right now. One more solid game, maybe put them around like 115, 120. It'd be close, but maybe.
Could just be enough. Watching it unfold here, Scented and Cold.
Ooh,
we already talked about this team. You know, they've rocketed their way up, though. These 3 elims, look at that. From 17th place all the way on up now to top 9. Those 3 elims being the difference maker. That also means other key players that were in between that space must have been shut dead in their tracks, right? So this is the ideal situation for them. The playing space, the field really starting to open up now. There might be light at the end of the tunnel here.
Yeah, and Amstel and Fatch are looking good. Sundown is somewhere smiling right now. Sees them in the top 6. He's been begging these guys to go ahead and make it through.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can go ahead and clutch it up right here. But Storm Surge is knocking on their door. Hey, are you going to get enough damage to survive this zone? And it's looking close as Storm Surge does actually come in and starts to do damage to 5 players in the lobby. They got to start making plays because the longer they wait, the harder it's going to be to get that Storm Surge damage as Peterbot finds themselves in a situation where he has Storm Surge, but no teammate and no HP as Keys tries to make the play on him. Only 70 HP left here, but he does have web shooters, gold heavy shotgun, purple stinger SMG. He's not out of it quite yet as he does have 84 builds, but he knows that at any moment right now, the Storm Surge could choose him. He is only a mere 5 damage above as Pamsto and Fatch find themselves into a fight looking for the Storm Surge. Not going to be working out though, and they're still below the damage as every player in the lobby is wanting a piece of the action, wants to find the elim. Pamsto survives, but Fatch does not.
Yeah, you say knock knock, but we already know who's there. It's battle time. Everyone's on go mode right here. Pamsu gets found out inside the box. That little bit of pressure. They knew they caught the 1. They wanted to get the 2. And now all of a sudden, another 6-point swing. Clicks, moves his way on up to 4th place. And now he's on the mid-ground. Rokan and Joji, sleeper team here, just lurking on the lows. The first time we get to see how they've been playing so far. And it looked like it's been immaculate for them as they have the loadout to take it all the way to the end here. Clicks and crew, though, once again, looking and eyeing up this high ground. It just doesn't seem like they're content with walking away on the low and just, you know, just making it to endgame. No, they are positioning themselves round after round here in these upper layers, eyeballing height. And now it's Makwita and Donnie who are in their sights. The team that just needs one big consistent game here to go ahead and alleviate all the pressure, right? They are just about there as far as knocking in one of this finals position spots that are available right here. So single elim, not bad at all. Little match split there, just going and even things out, right? Make sure both teams, both players here are comfortable, and they're just waiting for the zone to reveal itself. Look at this shot here, really giving us a lay of the land. It's almost like dead even split between how everyone has to go ahead and move now and figure this one out. Makwita and company, they have the longest rotate to make.
Yeah, and Makwita and Dottie gotta think about how they don't have to full send for right? If somebody tries to take it from them, fine, let them have it. Just play for your endgame and get another consistent game out here as he tries to web shoot over to the launch pad here. So that way him and Donnie can get an easy rotation, but he doesn't need high ground. I hope that he thinks about that. And yeah, it looks like he subsides, right? He's like, okay, fine. Go ahead and take the high ground. We just need a consistent game. We do not need a victory route. We're on top of the leaderboard right now. And Death and Tabney, though, they are not on top of the leaderboard, so they are on top of the lobby now, looking for the victory royale and a spot in the grand finals.
Yeah, they have eyes on the ground here. They can see everything from up above. Day, though, finds Glace in the feed. Looks like Sen Dog goes down, so Sensen is now out. Where is Cold? Is he still alive? But Tabney and Death here with the high. A team's going to come on up for the battle. They're going to give it on up. I do wonder, was that Makwita? No, it was Teo and Pledge, another one of the young bulls here, trying to push all the way through. We're talking about ex-teammates here contesting high ground, coming into game number 4. Big developments here as they find Spearbow in the feed there, so they're still racking up too. Oh my gosh. But no, Death goes down to Nick. So just like that, they had the high ground, they get pushed off, and now down they go. You can see Cold is still alive there, trying to pop this mech hit. So a lot of key players in game here. Knifer and Byla fight their way up to height. Now hold up, count them still in here, but the surge is ringing. No, they're getting tagged up big time here. They barely have anything, Vivid.
Yeah, bad situation here. Looking good for a couple seconds there, but they go for a quick elimination because they gotta find that refresh. It's not gonna be working out. So now Bila's gonna be left all alone. Finds a quick refresh. 47 builds to work with. Pretty decent amount of HPOL as he finds a quick shot in the back on another player. Using the sliding mechanic under all the builds here. Gonna be finding himself at the front of the zone instantly.
Oh, baby, this is Fortnite, and you're watching it unfold right there, just like that. New mechanics coming into play here. No more Day in this endgame here. Clicks is still up, holding on to this 4th place spot. You can see it's pretty much stalemated, which means the other teams are still in this game right now, also maintaining position. Byla finds Nick in the feed, another knock. So Bila's going crazy here, really racking up points, as is Makwita, still making another endgame. That's a top 16. New players on Haito are in Star, trying to go ahead and make his way to his first finals here. Will we see it go down? Clicks on the other side here, looking for a big fight. No HP on a player in front. He does not miss. Big shot for him. Player in the box. Can he escape here? Another edit. The reads are good, but the zone is doing a lot. Can he get it? Oh my gosh, he's still alive, and one single tick was enough to take him out. That player only had 30 HP. It was so close. And look at this, Makwita with another top 10 finish. He's at 123. High ground now is going to go ahead and still be in the hands of Sinstar, but Vivid, they're getting contested. Someone's trying to fight for this. They're not making it easy.
Yeah, look at this Shiesty rhythm all the way from the early game, picking up those elims early on, and they're going to be going for the win there. But RN Star are going to be the first team in this lobby to actually defend the high ground from another team. So many changes on the high ground. Looks like we're going to have 7 players left with a total of 5 teams left to do it. So the opportunity to win this game still alive for only 5 teams here, MDF.
Yeah, definitely. This is it. It's their time to do it. They're one of the only duos still operating in this end game here. Nasen being the few trio, 2 duos down low, and here it is. It's a 2v2 2v1. Teo's the only solo player in between this game here. He's actually sandwiched, and the low ground team starting to focus him. This is the perfect opportunity for Height here to start looking on down, adding this extra pressure, but Nasen may have just made a mistake. Okay, I was going to say, giving up his teammate there, almost allowing Teo to have a 1v1 opportunity could have been the biggest risk of the game here. But look, it's going over old builds, so RNstar, Sin, they have so much time to sit back, think about this, walk this victory royale all the way through to the end. All they have to do is play smart, keep it textbook here. They still have the loadout to do it.
Yeah, and they got the chili chug splashes, right? So those will come into play if we have to go to a heal off, but it looks like they're going to be applying the pressure before we can even get close to a heal off, making sure that they end it quicker than that as Teo kind of makes a play on them, but no, RNstar well aware of the possibility. You're going to be making a quick return play on the Teo to make sure that he is taken out quick, and now a 2v2 situation for the Victory Royale.
It's a clean 2v2. Match is starting to run out here. Why have they stopped firing? They should keep the pressure on. Out comes the splash, so this is going to make them move a little bit faster. This is pressure. Okay, they're saying, hey, you know what? We have some heals. I'm going to drop you all the heals. Let's go all the way through to the end. They are willing to risk it all here. This is a decision that they have to make in the utmost confidence right now that the team down low does not have heals. Okay, look, it makes sense. Med kit, med miss, the extra splashes. Now, are they going to min-max here? Are they going to go for, like, splash med kit play here? How far are they willing to take this is the real question.
Listen, RNstar has all of the heals right now, right? Cinnaruni, though, has none. Why is Cinnaruni not going down and applying that pressure? RNstar and both of them just chilling up here, but RNstar is the only one playing the heal off, so Cinnaruni's got to make a play on the low ground here to make sure they don't have any heals. But Cinnaruni opts to just kind of eliminate himself, and RNstar, they do have enough heals to out-heal the other opponents, and they are going to be picking up the third victory royale of the day.
I love that play. I respect it. They had a win condition. They said, you know what? We're going to play this our way. We are going to the finals. And they do it just like that. Smooth, easy, deep breaths. And we said that, right? You said, hey, take your time, make your decision. And they made it 7 eliminations. There's nothing to overlook, guys. This is a big, big win. And RNstar and Sin are going straight to finals.
Yes, sir, indeed. I think that's the first heal off we have seen in a very long time. Yeah, this season loves to just have all of the pressure applied to the players on the low ground. And right there, you know, Cinnaruni and RNstar, they're just opting not even to apply that pressure anymore. They're just like, listen, we know we got the heals. We're just going to build up and chill. And Cinnaruni actually makes a play to where he doesn't want to apply that pressure because there is the chance that the team on low ground makes a play and finds an elimination. So he doesn't want to give over that siphon. So he opts to kind of just go down to the storm. And, you know, they did have plenty of heals. So good off to them. First heal off of the season that we've seen. And they get the victory royale.
Yeah, not only that, there are mythics in play too, so if those Spider-Man hands come out and there's no protection up top, it could be crazy. Let's toss on over to Adam. We just punched another team to finals, guys.
Thank you, fellas. And not just any team, RNstar and Cinnaruni, their first ever FNCS finals appearance happening next weekend. That is massive for a team like this, SBG. Their first ever opportunity to compete in finals. What a way to do it as well. I mean, the heal-off play we saw there as well, the first of the season. What a great way to propel themselves into finals next weekend.
Yeah, it's crazy that this is the first heal-off we've seen. EU going and ended it in their own hands. Now, finally, NA East, typically known for the slower pace of games. We see the heal-off coming through, and RNstar had it in the bag. I mean, he's got the full med mist, he's got splashes, he's got the med kits. They were ready, calm, cool, and collected. Even though it was their first finals, or it is going to be their first finals they're moving into, they were ready when the moment came.
Yeah, I like that how they had multiple win conditions, stacking up on the heels, saying, hey, we're up on the high ground. They had the majority of the mats. They were able to very well-timed place their armored walls to put them in a situation to kind of get that positional advantage. And then once they're able to just run that out, securing the victory royale. And the reason we haven't seen a ton of those heal-offs, as we ended up talking about a little bit on EU, those longer zones, they pull and they drain so many resources. But this is one of the first times the zone pretty much pulled directly back over old builds.
It did, yeah, and we saw that high ground being taken over and over and over. A lot of different kind of fluctuations with teams, what's going to the top, then bottom. But one thing was interesting as well, we saw a lot of teams who are kind of, they're right to the top as well, like Donny and Macwood, for instance, who, again, are really making a stake at trying to claim a place in that finals by trying to guarantee as many points as possible, getting eliminations, and just keeping the pressure on SBG.
Yeah, we saw in EU is about 110 or so, solidifies you one of those top 6 spots. And hey, Macwood and Donnie, they've thrown their punches. They've tried to get into those victory royales, but, you know, I think they've done more than enough here. We see Macwood at that 128 plus range and just consistently running through these end games. That should push them through, Sundown.
Yeah, you're talking about consistently throwing punches. They're really just hanging on the outside, kind of throwing jabs, but just always making sure they're making contact. They're saying, boom, there's another endgame. Oh, there's another endgame. And all of a sudden, 3 endgames in a row in a duos format where everyone else is maybe a little bit less consistent off drop or pushing for that victory royale, and they're well ahead on top of that leaderboard.
Yeah, and just to give you some context as well, prior to that match, RN Star and Cinnaruni was 17th in the table, now propelling straight through to finals. It opens it up. There's a gap there now. Who is going to go through next in our last 2 games? But this is how it currently stands in this competition today, in day 1 of the semi-finals here. You can see here are 3 qualifiers going straight through to finals. Cinnaruni and RN Star join Users and Threats, Shadow, and Me Too. Interestingly as well to see the leaderboard here, SBG, and see exactly who's coming out on top points-wise as well, because lots of teams and lots of duos trying to make a claim to try and get as many points as they can to go through as well. And those 6 places up for grabs later on.
And my mind immediately goes to 5th place with Nico and Polarized landing at the same place as Macwood and Donnie. That could be a problem. Macwood and Donnie have pretty much qualified now, and Nico and Polarized need to make a lot of space if they want to keep moving up. They've done enough to be in that spot thus far, but not enough yet, Sundown.
Yeah, and getting over to that second page, first thing you kind of talked about, eyes on that 5th place spot. There's a huge drop down where a bunch of players are right around the 67 mark. We have like 5 teams or so who are pushed above 90, but everyone else on this page who's in kind of the 50 range or so, or a little above that, still well within touching distance of that top 6. One more solid game. And also, as we saw over in EU, if one of those teams wins in the top 6 at any point in time, they get pulled out. So we get a nice little artificial shoopening kind of happen.
A shoopening, I love that. Do you know what? It's interesting as well. I think the points there as well. You see Donnie and Mac with 128 points at the top of the leaderboard now. Does their mindset change as well? It's quite interesting now. Obviously, having such a big lead points-wise, do they really need to go for the victory royale, or are they just going to see things out, try and get zone, standing points, a few eliminations, and just kind of cruise through in those top 6 places? We'll have to find out. It's time to head over to the cast. This is Game 4. Vivid and MDF waiting in the wings. Fellas, it's all to play for. 2 games to go.
Love to see it. Watching a team punch their first ticket to the dance here, going all the way to finals. RN Star, Sin, congrats guys. Saw the hype on social media. This is what FNCS stage is all about. And man, just wanted to say shout out to Sin, dude. First earnings just a couple months ago there, Vivid. I mean, I'm sure you remember what it was like getting your first, your first piece of the pie.
It's crazy. It is a surreal experience, right? But you just got to stay calm. You got to keep yourself collected. You got to keep grinding. And that's what he did, right? As you mentioned, first earnings 4 months ago. That is now behind him, right? He's on the bigger and better things. FNCS Grand Finals for him.
Yeah, definitely. And it looks like the next battle bus is here, so let's get right into it.
A lot to talk about, MDF. A lot to talk about. And I love the point that SBG made on the desk, right? We're looking at a comfortable Macwood and Donnie up at the top of the leaderboard. They got like a 30-plus point lead. And man, they've had some trouble against Polarized and Nico, right? So in their minds, they're like, listen, we do not want these guys in the grand final, so that way we can have our best chance possible. So they could make some early game plays against those 2. And speaking of early game plays, Agers and Rise against Nounsy and Sprite over here at Greasy Grove as Agers go down quick and early as Rise tries to return an elimination. Agers, though, the elim on him, only 15 seconds left before he gets fully finished, unless they go ahead and find it early on. As Rise finds some minis, gonna make a play with a Stinger. SMG actually finds both the elims, and Rise clutches it up for Rise and Agers. Oh my gosh, MDF, what just happened?
Hey, listen, I'm not a physicist or anything, but when 2 equal forces clash, they kind of cancel each other out. These guys are sitting right around the same points, round after round, trading blows here. I mean, and both of them have done pretty decent when they make it out of here. Rise with the big clutch right now. They just have one more chance over, Nounsy and Sprite now. That's just how it's going to go down. Look at the quick play here. Ready? Boom. SMG in one hand. SMG, on the other hand, hello, one for you, take that mag apiece, and all of a sudden now they have two more elims there, a couple more points to work with. A lot of ground to cover here though if they want to get into top 6, but hey, they have a fighter's opportunity now.
Oh man, look at this situation over at Covert Canyon. Scented and Cold looked like they actually find the card, but in the midst of all of that happening, Cold goes down, and I wonder if Scented actually picked up the reboot card or not. He is going towards the reboot van, and is he going to use it? Surely he
more
has
builds
right?
here. I'm thinking he definitely has it.
Yeah.
He's got the vehicle. He's probably going to position up fully to make sure he's nice and safe. That's just taking his time here in case he's getting hunted down here. Day and clicks though, 90 points here, top 3 in the standings here currently as it. And again, they're doing that same thing they did last game. They're pushing the coast here, fighting this team on the outer edge. I mean, they've won this battle round after round, so they definitely know, hey, you know what? We're the better team here when it comes down to gunplay, when it comes down to these engagements. We're going to continue to take this battle. It's either that or, you know, get out of Dodge, right? Like, it's our loot, so.
Yeah, and what's interesting here, I wonder if Day picked up a llama. I don't think he did, but he had a lot of mats there for an early game engagement, so it could have definitely played into his favor. A team could have been unsuspecting of how many mats that he would have actually had if they would have chosen to take that engagement. But as we switch over here, the big HD over at Condo Canyon only finds himself 33rd on the leaderboard. But let's remember what kind of format we're playing, right? You're never out of it. You could have 0 points in the last game. And if you get that victory royale, then you are qualifying for the grand final. So it is never over for any of these players.
Yeah, definitely. It's truly not over. Although all the teams we've seen win so far are very much well-deserving and having great overall experiences in games. On over to the highlight, though. The one mistake now we watch Macwood and Donnie take a fight here. And, you know, Macwood gets traded out. Donnie gets tagged. He might have found some great tags there, but not enough, it seems like, to make it all the way through to the end. He just gets, oh, gosh, swept up on and swept under the rug just like that. I was, you know, really excited to see them continue to just kind of pace it and not take the fight, but it seems like Polarized and Nico were not happy with that outcome. They're not comfortable with how good they're playing. No. They're making out of here. That's one team that they have to, you know, maybe X out of the competition.
And that's the risk that Macwood was taking when he actually went ahead and decided to be aggressive, right? SPG talked about it. Want to make sure that they do not get into the grand final, so they decided to be a little bit more aggressive on Nico and Polarized. But if it goes bad, then you give Nico and Polarized an edge in this game, actually. So it could have actually benefited them because they have early Storm Surge, instantly a 6-point swing, right? Because they find 2 eliminations. So Nico and Polarized are really good shape now to actually go into the grand finals, even though Macwood attempted to stop them. And Scented doesn't look like he actually had the cold reboot card. So maybe he came back in here to look for it. Maybe he's trying to get over to the vault. I don't know, but Dayfan definitely in the wings, still chilling out here. Going to be investigating what Scented is up to as he gets a little bit closer.
And I want people to think about the way you just preface that entire Macwood and Donnie situation. Like, denying tags, denying elims, denying opportunity is arguably much more of a grief to Polarize and Nico's overall game.
True.
If you just don't give them that opportunity, right? Allowing them to take that fight, it grants them so much more. It's actually that they're doing the opposite, right? They're helping them in their position in the round, and now they're completely out. So yeah, they helped them in a lot of different ways, and not only that, they're inside the top 4. If you don't want this team going all the way to finals with you, you actually just have to avoid them in full, make a different strategy, have a backup play, and just dip, just get out.
Yeah, and considering, you know, Macwood was getting pretty much steamrolled anytime that Nico and Polarized decided to fight them there, right? It's not like they had some sort of, like, edge over them in any way, shape, or form. Like, Nico and Polarized holding their own every single time they took an engagement over there at the Daily Bugle, so... But Macwood, you know, he goes for a risk, and it doesn't pay off. But he knows that, regardless, they'll still be in the finals. And if we take a look at the performance today, when both of them were landing there, Macwood was doing fine. So maybe even if Nico and Polarized get into the finals and land right alongside him at Daily Bugle, maybe he just doesn't really care, right? Like, he showed today that even if he is contested, he will perform it just fine.
Well, you got to remember, FNCS Qualifier 1, 3 teams were landing there, if I'm not mistaken. That is Bucky's drop spot as well with Cam. So no, they do not want Polarized and Nico inside that drop. Remember what I was calling it? It's a parade at the Bugle. Right now, You know, they may be at the back of our minds, but they are very much there. Bucky and Cam are watching closely.
Yeah, they're like, man, both of these teams are qualifying. They both
don't want
land
none
in a
of them
drop
there.
spot. You know what I mean? Like,
Terrible.
they are not looking forward to how that's going to play out. But, you know, it'll be interesting to see how many people land there. But we still got to get through semifinals. Let's make sure that we finish out all of this. Is a lot of players converging over here towards the sanctuary. Looks like Zone's going to pull towards the east side of the map. And there we go. Scented actually snuck his way into the cavern, found Cold's card, and going to be getting a quick reboot out. And this is actually beneficial, right? Because if you look at the map, there's no really around him. So he might sneak back into the cavern with that card and open up the vault. And then they'll have pretty good loot and actually be able to make it back into the zone. But the storm surge situation will not be looking good.
And that one, you know, I guess bug in the back of the mind is someone lurking here waiting for us to open up this vault, because there are players that will play really weird. They'll sit it out just to do it, just to get that moment. You know, some people just get a kick out of the surprise. You know, surprise, we're here at the vault with you, and then it's that's it. It's their vault. So. We'll see. For Nazin and Flo, though, man, rough position so far to be in there. They're just kind of hanging out in the bush here. Not much they can do, as they have tons of teams positioned all around them. Pamson, in fact, being one of the few teams just outside the sanctuary here, kind of eyeballing up the field here. But, you know, it's not just battle going out here, right? It's not just a fight here. This fight's all over the kind of the map unfolding here. As we talk about that, Dusky, once again, looks like Dusky and User on the wrong side. Right here.
This is not necessarily the most ideal situation where you want to take a box fight, because, again, we talked about how many players are over here at the Sanctuary. If you decide to take a box fight, a bunch of players need Storm Surge. They don't got really anything better to do other than take some shots at you. And yeah, it comes true. That weird play style that you talked about, MDF. They're chilling, waiting for Scented to return to the vault. Please bring us the key card. They begged, and Scented has brought it to them, but it's not in their hands yet. Scented and Cold still alive in a fight now against J-Man and Day. Storm is a factor here, right? How long are these players willing to just sit here